All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you're new. Thank you so much for joining me today, as always. And thank you for waiting patiently as the intro does what it does. Samurai Beast Warrior says, nice cat. Yeah, man, he's chilling with us today. Boss is chilling with us. But yeah, really appreciate you guys being here. I see Dream Hollow saying new Spider-Man 2 trailer drop. Was there a new Spider-Man 2 trailer? Oh, there is. Huh, look at that. I actually didn't believe you for a moment there. Dropped 5 minutes ago, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 launch trailer. Good stuff. They got a nice thumbnail. I mean, it's the symbiote suit, so I imagine that's going to get a lot of views. A lot of views. I'll have to check it out a little bit later. Maybe we can watch it later on in this stream. And we are going to talk about Spider-Man 2 today. Specifically, we're going to talk about the review scores predictions, right? I think that this is something we can discuss for a little while, at least because I am going to be doing a stream tomorrow. I wanted to let everybody know we have like a schedule here, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's when we really do the streams, but I'm going to change it up. I'm going to do a stream tomorrow as well because the review scores for Spider-Man 2 are coming out, and I think it would just make for an enjoyable stream. I think a lot of people are going to be very interested to see where it sits on Metacritic, to hear what the critics have to say about it. I think most of us are already decided on whether or not we're going to buy and play Spider-Man 2. I think most of us are going to, but still, there's no denying that a lot of people are waiting for this to see if it's going to, hit that high water mark that I think a lot of people are anticipating. So yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow, and so we'll talk a little bit about our predictions today. BB12 says, nice deep stream yesterday, MBG. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. For those who aren't aware, I did do a members-only stream yesterday, and yeah, it was quite an interesting one, I gotta say. We went into a few different directions. We did talk gaming, but we talked some other things as well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't an overly long stream. I think the stream is about 2.5 hours, so if you are a channel member, if you were gifted a channel membership, go check that out. You have access to it. And I'm going to try to, I can't promise that I'll be able to do a lot of member-only streams, but I'll try to do as many as I can. You guys show really good support on those member-only streams, and I very much appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm going to go over the topics here today, let you guys know what we're going to be discussing. So, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about our predictions for Spider-Man 2 reviews. They're coming tomorrow. We'll talk a bit about that. We're going to talk about a new PlayStation 5 exclusive Soulsborne title that has seemingly been secretly play-tested. And this was something that's been making the rounds, and I found it pretty interesting because it's just kind of random. And of course, a lot of people are entering speculation mode. What could this game be? Well, I think I know what game it is. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about the PlayStation 5 Slim because Sony still hasn't done an official comparison, but we have somebody who did a comparison of this. I think I don't know if it's actually, they're unofficial renders, but the renders were created based on Sony's actual numbers that they gave out. So I figured we could kind of look at these images, talk about the PlayStation 5 Slim, kind of compare it. We're also going to be talking about physical video games, physical media, disc-based gaming versus digital. The reason why we're going to be talking about this is because, well, there was some big news from Best Buy this past week, that they are exiting physical media. However, it has been confirmed that video games do not count video games are still going to be sold physically at Best Buy, which is great news. But on top of that, we also have a Ubisoft executive kind of weighing in, coming out and giving their opinion on physical games, right? On whether or not digital is going to take over and if physical based, disc based games are going to go away. And I think this is really interesting because we don't usually hear video game executives talk about this stuff or acknowledge it. So we'll definitely talk about that. We're going to be talking about Sony looking to hire a PC planning analyst. I think this is pretty relevant because it shows a clear sign that they're getting even more serious about embracing the PC market. And if we have time, we might talk a little bit about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League because a bunch of new details about this game have surfaced. I think a lot of people forgot about this game, but it is scheduled to release, I believe, February of 2024. And I see PS Gamer in the chat saying also Walmart. Yeah, I don't know if that's been officially confirmed or not. I think Walmart is not going to be selling, or at least the rumor is claiming that Walmart's not going to be selling physical Xbox games anymore, which is disappointing, of course. But yeah, Sony dropped the Spider-Man 2 launch trailer 10 minutes ago. Yeah, maybe I'll bring that up here in just a moment. Maybe we could actually kick off the stream watching that trailer. Before I do that, though, I do want to let you guys know a couple of ways you can help support my channel, help support my streams, and help support my content if you enjoy it. I do rely on you guys to be able to continue to produce this content and keep the channel running smoothly. So there are a couple of ways. Just simply being here, watching the content, as I always say, means everything. Thank you guys for that. If you guys weren't willing to watch the content, what would be the point? So thank you for that. Please take a second and hit that like button. Hitting that like button, it's a really simple way to just show support for the stream. Just let me know that you enjoy them, and it also helps with YouTube's algorithm. So hit that like button to show your support. There are 3 ways you can support my channel directly. The first way is by becoming a channel member. By doing so, you gain access to exclusive members-only content that I produce every week. And if you do become a channel member, you gain access to all of that content. And as long as you remain a channel member, you continue to have access to future content. If you are already a channel member, you can also gift memberships. This is something we do here on the channel. We have a very, very generous community. A lot of people gift memberships and welcome people in to the members community and give them access to that content. So if you have that badge next to your name, consider gifting memberships if that's something you want to do. And finally, you can consider donating a super chat. You can ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, whatever it is you want to do. It's a great way to keep the conversation flowing in different and sometimes unexpected directions, but it's also a great way for you to support my channel as well. So a big thank you and a big shout out to everybody who does that. And I see at least 1 or 2 people in the chat saying that they don't want to see the trailer. So I think I'll watch it later on. Because I don't want to deter anybody. I kind of understand that there's a lot of people who want to just go in as blind as they can and they don't want to see anything. So, yeah. Matt York, you're saying anyone else having trouble sending milestone super chats? Mine just keeps saying edit and try again. Yeah, I don't know if anybody here can answer Matt York. I'm curious myself. I don't know if there's if anything's glitched or something like that. You'll watch it with your eyes shut. I think we'll watch it, but we'll save it to the we'll save it for the end of the stream. But yeah, Matt, I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if it's just on your end. Jay Shako saying YouTube is screwed. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if YouTube is YouTube has been kind of acting a little strange lately. Let me double check something here, see if there's any problems on my end. It seems okay on my end, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. And before we dive into the first topic, let's give a shout out to Kevin G. Let's welcome It says he's a new member, but he decided to actually renew his membership. I can tell by his badge. So Kevin G, big shout out to you for doing that, my friend. Thank you so much for re-upping your membership and coming back to Greatness Awaits. I appreciate that support, buddy. So Kevin G actually kicks us off today by re-upping his membership. So good stuff. A lot of people are asking about the new Spider-Man trailer. No, I haven't seen it. For some reason, Sony... I mean, it's kind of strange timing in a way, right? You're saying it's not really a spoiler, but there's a new villain we've never seen in the trailers. Interesting. I guess they wanted to kind of wait until the last minute to reveal this. Oh, wow. Look at that. So, Buck, apparently this is your 20th super chat, man. Huh. Did you guys know that YouTube does this now? I swear, YouTube is always updating stuff. I kind of like this change, though. That's pretty cool. I know that for the longest time, YouTube notified me when somebody was super chatting for the first time, but this is the first time I've seen like a milestone. So, Buck, congratulations, man, on your 20th super chat. That's really fascinating. Thank you so much for that type of support, bud. I'll read it in just a moment because I got to give a big shout out to Hellbound 1981, a legend here on the channel. Hellbound is here pretty much every single stream, gifting out memberships, and he decides to gift 5 memberships to the community. Hellbound, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate that continued support, that consistency. It's very much appreciated, dude. So let me give you a Venom for that because everybody's hyped. Everybody's hyped for Spider-Man with this new trailer. I know, man. I keep seeing people coming in and they're like, new Spider-Man trailer, bro. New Spider-Man trailer. And let's give a big shout out to Remar. Remar decided to re-up his membership as well. Coming back to Greatness Awaits. Big shout out to you, Remar. Thank you so much for doing that, bud. It's always nice to see people re-upping their memberships and showing that support again. For anybody who re-ups their membership today or anybody who gifts out memberships or receives a membership gift, just keep in mind that we did a members-only stream yesterday. You now have access to that has been unlocked for you. So be sure to go check that out. So thank you so much for that, Remar.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're saying we should watch the Spider-Man 2 trailer. I mean, I'm a little bit torn right now. I would like to watch it, but I know that there are people here right now that don't want to. There are people here right now that don't want to see any more of Spider-Man 2. So I'm thinking maybe a good compromise is to not watch it yet, and we'll watch it towards the end of the stream. Good way to maybe close out the stream. We will talk about Spider-Man 2, though, a little bit. Saying it's 1 minute MBG, just let them wait 1 minute. Yeah, maybe we can. Because that's true. That's a really short amount of time. Another reason I kind of want to watch it right now is because the first topic I'm going to discuss is Spider-Man 2. So yeah, we could do that really quickly. I'll do it real quick, and I'll give you guys a warning. So if you want to dip out for just a minute or two while we watch this trailer. Whoa. Give me a second. I'll bring it up. All right, let's check it out. Oh my God.
We have to talk. This is something else. I need your help.
Are you sure this isn't something you can handle yourself?
Oh, Sandman. Oh my God, dude.
Miles, this is crazy.
This is
Call
crazy.
it a symbiote, and it chose you.
Get it off of him! Ready for your annual physical?
I'm the hero here, not you.
What the hell's going on with Pete?
You're not yourself.
Oh my
I
god.
know I can snap him out of this.
We can fight this together.
Oh my god. Dude, that looks incredible. I mean, the hype was already there, but geez, man. They really outdid themselves with that trailer. Wow. God, that's just what I needed. Yeah, dude. Oh man, Venom looks so sick. Sandman. I mean, so the thing about this new trailer for me, and Buck, I'm going to read your super chat in just a moment, man, but I got to gush here for just a moment. The thing about that new trailer is it really did a good job, I think, at just setting the tone once again. I think it did a good job at setting the tone once again. And you could just tell there's a lot there, man. There's a lot there to unpack. And let's go, man. The symbiote suit. Dude, Venom, I'm super hyped for Venom, man. I am. Levy H, you're saying spoilers. I mean, no, I don't know what to look, man. I don't know what to say to people who feel that way about a trailer that Sony publicly released. You know, the trailer's from Sony, so you know, or Insomniac. They don't consider any of this spoiler territory. They want you to know. You know, they want you to know some of the villains that you're going to be facing, some of the story beats. I mean, one of the things they showed in this trailer was Peter clearly being just straight up mean. Just straight up mean to Mary Jane. Saying Sandman is a spoiler. Well, I mean, maybe. Is it though? Like, I don't get it. I'll be honest. I don't understand that. To me, if they're willing to say like, hey, Sandman's in here, is that really a spoiler if it's Insomniac saying it and letting people know? I mean, but at that point, you may as well just say knowing that Venom's in the game is a spoiler, right? So I don't look, I understand some people don't like it, but I had to watch that, and I'm glad I did. That was that was a great trailer, dude. That was a great trailer. That got my hype levels up instantly. All right, let's see. Buck, again, shout out to you, Buck. It's your 20th super chat, which is awesome to see. You're saying watching that effective Xbox/ABK welcome trailer, Sony needs to accelerate their move to day and date on PC. PC and mobile are really are sectors that are really growing since 2015. Yeah, obviously Microsoft closed the Activision Blizzard deal, which I feel like we saw that coming a mile away. And, you know, they made a pretty big deal about it on social media. Of course, they put out a trailer. Phil Spencer did his whole thing, and fans of Xbox and Game Pass are obviously excited. But, you know, you mentioned here Sony needs to really put the pedal to the metal when it comes to putting things day and date on PC and mobile gaming, or they're going to get left behind. Well, yeah, that is pretty much what Sony is doing. I mean, when it comes to single-player games like Spider-Man 2 and future single-player games, I don't see them releasing day one on PC. I think that Sony will always do a staggered release for those to extract as many console sales as they can. But when it comes to their multiplayer games, I mean, yeah, I think it's obvious at this point. They even confirmed it themselves that a lot of these multiplayer games, if not all of them, are going to release day one on PC alongside PS5. I mean, we're seeing it begin with Helldivers 2. It was confirmed for Concord. It was confirmed for Fair Games. And obviously Bungie, they're going to be everywhere. This is just the natural progression of what Sony's going to pursue as a way to try to keep up with where, you know, their competitors are headed. Mobile gaming, they're pursuing that as well. Sony is getting more heavily invested into mobile games, and they bought a studio, Savage Game Studios, I think is what they were called, which specializes in mobile gaming. to me, none of this is exciting. I don't care about any of this, but I know that other people do. I don't like, I care about the PlayStation console and I care about that experience. I really don't mind that Sony's embracing PC more, and we're going to talk about that later because that's one of our topics. But it's just one of these things where if Sony wants to strike a balance where, oh, we want to sell as many consoles as we can, we want to get as many sales in that area as we can, and we want to leverage our single player games to do that, and then eventually we'll extract more money and revenue on a different platform, I'm fine with that. You know, I'm fine with multiplayer games releasing day one on PC. You're saying PC adds nothing of value to us. I mean, for me that is true. Yes. Again, as somebody who doesn't play on PC, it's not adding anything of value for me, but it doesn't feel like it's necessarily taking anything away either. So I don't really care that much. The only time I would actually question whether or not I would start to look at PC as a viable option for me is if Sony came out and said, going forward, every single one of our games are going to release day one on PC. So like today, for example, if with this new Spider-Man 2 launch trailer, if they said it's also releasing October 20th on PC, I would think about it. Be like, well, maybe I would want to play it on PC so I can get the best possible performance. I don't know. I would have to pay for that performance though, as well. Although granted, I do have a pretty powerful PC for what I do here, but it's just Sony clearly has a method behind what they do. And to me, that method is pretty obvious. It's, at least when it comes to console and PC, console first for single player games. These are console selling games. These are the games like Spider-Man 2, games like Wolverine, and future titles. I mean, even games like God of War Ragnarok that came out. These are games that Sony knows are going to sell the PlayStation console. So there's really no incentive for them to get them onto PC very quickly. The incentive is get them on PC when they're no longer selling, right? When they're no longer really moving units. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And I guess what I'm trying to say, Buck, is I don't see Sony changing that anytime soon. I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. I mean, this is all speculation. I mean, Sony is leaving everybody in the dark, basically, not being very clear. Although the last thing Jim Ryan said is about 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years for their single player games. But Jim Ryan's retiring, so could that change? Absolutely. And let's give a big shout out to Herpy Derps, another legend. Herpy Derps comes in and he drops 5 more membership gifts as well, following up Hellbound 1981's 5 membership gifts. So between those 5 membership gift bombs and Remar, as well as Kevin G, we are now sitting at 12 members, which I actually have to update that. So let me do that now and make sure I give
Thank you. Appreciate
Herpy Derps a big thank you there. I'll do another Venom. Because we're feeling it. We're feeling the Spider-Man 2 hype. I'm feeling it. I am. I have some bad news though, guys. I do. I have some bad news regarding my Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition. I got an email that there was a problem processing my payment for some reason. And I went to go try to correct it just to find out that I was too late because for some reason I got the email in the literal middle of the night and I lost it. It's not coming. But you know what? Here's the thing. I really thought about this because I know I could still find a way to get one if I really wanted one. No, it's okay. It's okay. Guys, I'm fine. I actually I sat back and I thought about this. And I was like, well, this sucks and was unexpected. However, I can still get one some way if I want to. Like, the option is there. But I started to think to myself, you know what, man? Maybe just let it go. And you know why I thought this? Because I thought to myself, I don't I was like, it's just so strange to me that it would work out this way because I don't do collector's editions. I never have. Like, I just don't do collector's editions. And this was like the first time I decided to, you know what? I'll pull the trigger. I'll go for it. And I was still somewhat hesitant, but I'm like, it's a pretty cool statue there. I like Venom, so I'll go for it. And so finding this out, I'm like, maybe this will give me a chance to really think. Maybe this is kind of, I don't want to say a blessing in disguise, right? As in, like, I would have regretted getting that collector's edition. But I just kind of thought to myself, like, I would have thought that I would feel more upset at this news. And I kind of found out that I'm like, okay, well, still going to get the game. So you know what I decided to do instead? I'm going to buy a copy of the game for my friend. That's what I'm going to do instead. And that's what I settled on. I'm going to buy a copy for myself, and I'm going to buy a copy for my friend to play and enjoy. So there you go. But yeah, unfortunately, I definitely was not expecting to run into that issue. Did I get an early copy? No, I did not. I don't get early copies of games. I mean, sometimes I get offered, not from Sony. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If Sony offered me an early review copy of Spider-Man 2, yeah, I would take that. Why would I not take that? But occasionally I do get offered early copies of certain games, but I don't know. I'm just not, I don't like that. I don't. I just prefer to keep it as real as I possibly can as somebody who's not really a big reviewer here. And what I mean is I just prefer to interact with my games the same way that anybody else would, where I don't have any kind of, communication with publishers or anything like that. I either just buy the game with my own money when it comes out, or I don't. And that's how I handle it. But there's no denying that if Sony was like, hey, MBG, you want a review copy of Wolverine? And I'd be like, yeah, of course I do. Why would I not? But I'd probably only make that exception for Sony or other, like just games that if I was really that excited for them, like, yeah, maybe I would make that exception. But I just don't, to me, that's never seemed appealing though. Yeah. The idea of review copies kind of force you, I don't think they necessarily force you to speedrun games, but I just want to play the game as naturally as I possibly can. I don't want any strings attached to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want there to be some kind of deadline or for me to have to sign some NDA or something and make sure I don't want to do that. I'd rather just buy the game when it comes out, play it at my leisure, and talk about it at my leisure and not have any strings attached whatsoever. That's just how I feel personally. But, it's one of these things where I do kind of leave the door open where if the day ever does come where Sony would I don't think they ever would, but if they were like, hey, we didn't blacklist you, MBG, maybe I would consider it. Yeah, it would be hard not to. You can request them. You're probably right. But that just kind of goes to show how I'm just so uninterested in doing that. I just don't even look into that. MBG has absolutely no comms with the game industry. Pretty much no, I don't. As crazy as that may sound, but I don't know. I kind of prefer it that way, frankly. Kevin G, a member for 8 months. He says, hyped about Spider-Man 2 and Mario this Friday. I'm getting both physical from GameStop. ABK is over finally. MBG looking buff as always. Good Sunday. Well, thank you so much for that, man. Thank you for the compliment. And yeah, I'm very happy that the ABK deal is over. I mean, it's been pretty much 2 years, almost 2 years of just some of the craziest stuff we've ever witnessed in this industry. And it's finally come to an end. And it seemed like at first it was going to get blocked because of the CMA, but almost like a half a year later, everything kind of flipped around and here we are. Microsoft now owns Activision Blizzard. King. So why would they blacklist me? Well, I don't know. Maybe if they've ever listened to any of the critiques or criticism I've had to give, maybe they're like, yeah, maybe we blacklist this guy. I don't know if I'm blacklisted. Let's see here. So Kevin G, I appreciate that. We have Buck with another super chat. He says MBG Spider-Man 1 released to 100 million PS4s. Spider-Man 2 only 50 million PS5s. I think it's actually less than 50 million. I think it's going to be about 43 million, maybe 45. You're saying since no PC Spider-Man would have to have double the attach rate, both games cost 200 million. Well, there's a couple things you have to consider here. The first and most obvious, in my opinion, is that Sony does not view Spider-Man as a game that needs to perform as well as Spider-Man 1 immediately out of the gate. It's a game that is going to be leveraged throughout the entirety of this generation. Spider-Man 2 is going to be a system seller starting October 20th all the way until probably up to the PlayStation 6. And so it's true that Spider-Man 1 released to a wider install base, but it doesn't mean that it can't sell as well or won't sell as well. I'm of the mind that Spider-Man 2 is actually going to sell better than 1. Maybe not out of the gate. I mean, it's hard to determine. I to be honest, I could see Spider-Man 2 coming out and basically breaking a record for Sony, and us getting maybe a couple days later the announcement that Spider-Man 2 has sold like 6 million copies or something in 3 or 4 days or something like that. Even though the install base is smaller, it's just the excitement for this game is very high. And I think there are a lot of people, frankly, that have been holding off for a game like this when it comes to upgrading. I think that Sony knows this. I mean, I don't know how many people bought PS4s for Spider-Man 1, but there was probably a decent amount. A couple million at the least, right? There could be a couple million people right now that have been holding off on buying a PS5, and now that Spider-Man 2 is about to drop, they're like, you know what? Now's the time. Maybe not, though. I will say this. Buck, I think that no matter what, at the end of the day, Spider-Man 2 is going to perform very well for Sony. It is. I think it's going to do good numbers for them. I think it's going to make them a good amount of revenue, a good amount of profit. I think it's going to sell a lot of PS5s. And I don't think if Sony were to release this game on PC the same day as it's releasing on PS5, I don't know that it would hurt anything. But there's no doubt that it would prevent some people, at least some, from buying a PS5. But yeah, I think so. I think Sony's going to have a really good holiday season. Really, really good sales-wise. I think the PS5 is going to sell a lot. They're going to sell a lot of units. I think, again, they could break a record, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Simply put, I think it's going to do very well. I don't think you have to worry about anything. They'll make their money back. I have no doubt about that. And we have Matt York, a member for 20 months, saying everyone needs to check out Paradise Hotel on VR2. Great spooky experience in time for Halloween, and it's only $20. Visually exceptional as well. Interesting. Paradise Hotel. So you're saying it's basically like a scary game. I might look into this. I'll have to think about this, Matt. But Matt, member for 20 months, appreciate that long-time support, buddy, and appreciate your milestone chat. So yeah, we'll have to see if anybody's going to check this game out or not. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into the first topic. Before we do that, guys, once again, please do me a favor, take a second, hit that like button. I'd very much appreciate that. Let's see if we can get up to 200 likes. We have over 550 people here watching, which is great to see. And so the first topic is I want to talk about our Spider-Man 2 review predictions, because again, we're going to be streaming tomorrow and we're going to be talking about this. By the time I go live, we're going to know how Spider-Man 2 reviewed. And so I kind of just wanted to give my final thoughts on this, what I'm expecting. Probably not going to be super long topic, but for me personally, I think Spider-Man 2 is going to review very well. And when it comes to the Metacritic score, my prediction is it's going to land at a 90. I think it's going to land exactly at a 90. It's not going to go higher than that. It's not going to go lower than that. It's going to be a 90. I am obviously open to it shifting. Like I could realistically see it hitting an 88, maybe even an 87 potentially. I could see it going higher than a 90. I think it's a little bit less likely that it will go higher than a 90. I think it would have to do some really big things to do that. See a lot of other predictions in the chat right now. A lot of high 80s. Some people saying 93, 91, 92, low 90s in general. Joseph X1, a member for 2 months. He says, wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft started adding Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass next week to overshadow Spider-Man 2's release. I mean, they could. Yeah, I don't think that would overshadow anything, frankly. Unless they make the announcement that like Modern Warfare 3 is going to join Game Pass, which it won't. I don't think that would overshadow anything. I think that would just be something that people are like, wow, this is great. But I don't think it would get in Spider-Man's way. And the reason why I say that is because I just think they're just two vastly separate, different things. Right? Like, hey, you can play some older Call of Duty games in Game Pass now and maybe, I don't know, some Blizzard games. And I think people would be happy about that and be like, yes, this is great. But I don't think that would distract people from the fact that, you know, Spider-Man 2 is out on PS5. I just think they're two separate things. But when it comes to how quickly Activision is going to drop these games into Game Pass, I mean, I don't know how much work goes into that, but I imagine they're already working on it and they're going to try to get as many in there as quickly as possible because it's just, you know, it's a very easy way to get people to start subscribing to Game Pass. So yeah, I have no doubt about that, man. But getting back to the Spider-Man 2 reviews, yeah, I don't know if there have been more leaked reviews. I only came across one leaked review and the review was glowing. I mean, you know, they were gushing about the game, saying it was an incredible game, maybe even one of the best games they ever played. One of them even said it's, you know, the best superhero game they ever played, possibly surpassing the Arkham trilogy, which is impressive. I think a lot of people still consider the Arkham trilogy, especially Arkham City, the high watermark that has yet to be surpassed. And I could definitely see Spider-Man 2 doing that. Yeah, I could. I'm really eager to see how it reviews. I am, because there is every possibility that Insomniac is going to shock people, you know? And I just watched that new trailer. I just watched the launch trailer and I'm like, it's looking really good. It's looking really, really, really good, man. And it just, every time I see it, it looks better and better. And we're less than a week away from launch. And so I could see, you know, Insomniac, who knows, man, maybe they're going to come out and they're going to land at like a 93 on Metacritic or something and just shock everyone. A 90 wouldn't be shocking to me. A 90 would be very impressive to me. And I think that would be great, but it wouldn't be shocking. Anything above a 90 would be a little bit shocking. Yeah. Like maybe 91 wouldn't be too shocking. But I just feel like it takes a lot. It does. It takes a lot to get in the 90s on Metacritic, especially the 92, 93 range. And there's the thing about Spider-Man 2 as well. This is another important thing to consider. There's going to be a lot of reviews. This isn't going to be a game where there's like 25 reviews or 20 reviews. This is going to be a game that probably has well over 100 reviews. I mean, maybe even like 120, something like that. It's going to have a lot of reviews. So, you know, the more reviews there are, I mean, it works both ways. The higher the chance it has to go higher on Metacritic, the higher the chance it has to go lower. So, saying Metacritic is a joke, be prepared to be disappointed. Well, to me, it's certainly not a be-all, end-all. Far from it. Like, I honestly do not care at the end of the day how Spider-Man 2 reviews in terms of just whether or not I'm going to play the game and enjoy it. I don't. But it's just a conversation that I think will be fun to have, you know. Tijual, member for 3 months, says PlayStation just revealed the launch trailer and it spoiled a villain for me. I expected in the third game with Green Goblin. We had too many videos shown. So you're saying 5. I mean, I get it, man. I do. I understand why some people, they just feel like, you know, they're being exposed to too much. They're seeing too much. And that's kind of always the risk you take by being connected, by paying attention to when Insomniac and Sony drop a new trailer, when they drop new gameplay. You always are at risk of learning something about the game that you didn't expect to learn. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? So I personally feel fine about it. I don't feel negative at all. I feel more excited. I do. I feel more excited. I don't know. You're saying they definitely spoiled way too much. We'll see. We'll see. Once I play it for myself and once we all play it, we'll be able to determine that. But Tijual, I appreciate that, man. We got Evil MBG with a $2 super chat saying Immortals of Avium is a very underrated game, MBG. That's what I've heard. It's unfortunate, though, because that studio is done. That game will not get a sequel. I've heard it's pretty good, though. But it sold really, really, really badly. Like, really badly. It sold so bad that they laid off that studio like a week later. So it's very unfortunate. And no amount of sales at this point is going to change that. One of the other topics I'm going to discuss is maybe what I'm playing a little bit as well. Because I did pick up Lords of the Fallen, and I want to give my thoughts on what I played of that so far. But yeah, generally speaking, I think Spider-Man 2 is going to do incredibly well. I do. I think Spider-Man 2 is going to review at a 90 on Metacritic. It's okay if it goes lower. It's obviously okay if it goes higher, but that's my prediction. I'm locking that in now, a solid 90 on Metacritic, and I'm going to be very interested to see if I end up correct or not. I do think, I also want to add this, I think there's going to be a couple of reviews from certain outlets that are going to be considered biased, that are going to give it an automatic 10 out of 10. But I also think to balance that out, there are going to be some reviews that are going to give it like a 5 out of 10 or something like that from, you know, these websites that are just like, you know, they're known for doing that. Robert West, you're saying you're not going to membership stream Lords of the Fallen. I don't know. I'll think about it. I mean, at this point, I'm more likely to do a membership stream of Spider-Man or something. So, just because we're closer. I mean, that's the thing. That's the only thing about playing Lords of the Fallen right now is I kind of didn't realize, like, man, we're really close. Like, we are really, really close to Spider-Man 2. And it just, like, hit me. I'm like, oh, well, damn, I'm probably going to have to put Lords of the Fallen to the side for a while. And, yep. But I appreciate the super chat, buddy. All right, let's see. So yeah, that's pretty much the first topic. Again, it wasn't going to be a very lengthy one. We watched the Spider-Man launch trailer. Looks incredible. My excitement levels couldn't really be any higher. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's discussion on how Spider-Man 2 reviews. But I want to... So yeah, now I'll just talk a little bit about what I'm playing. I'm not going to talk too long because I haven't played that much. But I did pick up Lords of the Fallen. And I was really nervous after I picked it up because there were people saying that like this game has some issues, right? Like that this game has serious performance issues. So I'll let you know what my experience with it has been so far. But before I do that, I have Eric from 850 with a generous $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Eric from 850. That's very kind of you. You're saying here, happy Sunday, MBG, and all members of the Musclebound Battalion with a salute. Last night, I fell asleep listening to your stream, and I woke up at 2 a.m. to you saying, go in a corner and F yourself. I was like, what am I watching? Yeah, not my finest moment, and I am I am sorry that you had to endure that, or wake up to that, I should say. I'm sorry that that's what you had to wake up to, because you were probably very confused. Yeah, that, I don't know if you were able to get the context of that, but I basically lost it in that moment. Like, I really lost it because a person super chatted a Spider-Man 2 spoiler, and I kind of didn't, I didn't take too kindly to that. That person got banned, and I told him off. So maybe it was a bit much, but I mean, I appreciate, it's interesting falling asleep to my streams. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's something that some people do, right? Maybe I have that kind of voice that puts people to sleep. I don't know. Devil Shooter says my internet went out and I came back to that. LOL. Oh, wow. That timing though. Yeah, it's true. I don't usually talk like that or get like that, but that really, it bothered me, because it's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to people? People wait years for stuff like this, and to just come in and do something like that. Like, look, I get it. Like, it's not that serious at the end of the day. It's not like this person, personally did something to me, but it's frustrating, because people come to the channel and they want to watch the streams, they want to interact with the chat, and they have to be so worried about stuff like that. And yeah, it just really made me angry. MBG ASMR. But Eric from 850, I really appreciate that super chat, man. Thank you for the continued support, and I appreciate you continuing to watch my streams, man. It means everything. So again, I'm sorry you had to wake up to that, though. Pretty crazy moment out of all my streams I've ever done, to have that be the thing that you wake up to. Mike Brown is asking, did you play the Call of Duty beta? So I did talk a little bit about this yesterday in my members only stream, but yeah, I did play the beta for a little bit, and all the beta did was confirm to me that I'm not going to buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, because it's just Modern Warfare 2 from last year. That's all it is. The maps were nice. The nostalgia factor, I was expecting the nostalgia factor of Modern Warfare 3 to do more for me than it did when playing those maps. But I realized that it's just a different game now. It just plays so differently than the original Modern Warfare 2. And it's just it's just last year's Call of Duty. It's a DLC. Frankly, that's what it is. It's a $70 premium DLC expansion, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but I just was kind of surprised when I played the beta, because it's like, wow, they really did it this time. Like, they really went for it, where they said, we're just going to give you the same game. I mean, every year people have criticized Call of Duty for being the same game, but there's always been enough to differentiate these releases, right? Like, if you played Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and then you played Call of Duty Vanguard, right? Like, there's enough in a lot of fundamental ways they are the same game, but there's enough there changing, right? To make people feel like these are still pretty different. What I was surprised to find with Modern Warfare 3 is they, for the first time, were just like, it's literally the same game. I mean, it's Modern Warfare 3. If you played you don't have to play the beta. That to me, that's the funniest thing. I think the funniest thing about them doing a beta for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is, like, you don't need the beta. If you're playing Modern Warfare 2 right now, you're playing Modern Warfare 3. You're playing that game. It's so, yeah. I did play it for a little bit. It's Call of Duty. It feels good. That's one thing that they always nail, is the smoothness. Graphically, it looked good. It felt good, but I wasn't really feeling it. And I'm like, yeah, there are too many other things I'd rather play this holiday season, so I'm good. Dark Horse with a $2 super chat saying, MBG, you have to think about COD like Destiny, in my opinion. Yeah, you're probably right. If Bungie can do it that way with these big expansions, I'm sure. I honestly think that might be the direction that Call of Duty goes in, where it's just like big expansions. You know, people are proving that they're okay with it. So yeah, if that's your cup of tea, go for it. And Terrence Williams, a member for 5 months. Thank you for that, buddy. You're saying, got my very first platinum with Days Gone about 3 weeks ago. Very fun game, and I'm not into zombie games. Well, congratulations on your Days Gone platinum, dude. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed the game, and I love Days Gone. It'll always be a shame to me that we're not going to get a proper sequel to Days Gone. What's interesting, though, we are getting a Days Gone movie. Yes, that's right. Sony says we're not doing a Days Gone 2, but we are going to do a Days Gone movie, and they released it on PC. Ben Studios always sharing screenshots and stuff. So to me, it seems obvious they have not abandoned. They have not abandoned the Days Gone intellectual property, but it seems like we're not going to get a follow-up to it anytime remotely soon. And so, yeah, let me talk about my Lords of the Fallen experience as my second topic here. So, my Lords of the Fallen experience, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. Number one, it definitely does have performance issues. Are they as egregious as some people are making them sound? To me, no, not so far. Hopefully they don't get worse, but they're definitely noticeable. There are many times in the performance mode where you can just tell, like, dude, this game is running in the 40s or something like that at certain moments. But at the same time, I did experience the same thing with Final Fantasy 16. And in Final Fantasy 16, I told you guys that it didn't really bother me. I could notice it, yeah, but it didn't stop me from enjoying the game. And a similar thing is happening with Lords of the Fallen, where, yeah, I can notice some performance issues, but it's not necessarily making the game any less enjoyable. However, my biggest problem with the game, because there are many things I like about the game, but my biggest problem with Lords of the Fallen so far is it's a little bit too floaty for me, if that makes sense. I mean, I've talked to you guys before about how one of the reasons why I don't play too many Souls-like games or Soulsborne games is because I feel like there's no way anybody's going to do it as good or better than From Software. And for me, that's true with Lords of the Fallen, where Lords of the Fallen, it feels pretty good. Like, it doesn't feel bad. It feels pretty good. But it still has this kind of floatiness to it where it's just not as tight. It's not as precise as what I'm used to experiencing with From Software titles. And it doesn't mean it's unplayable, but it is noticeable. But generally speaking, I am liking the game so far. I like the fact that it's mostly linear. I got to give them a shout out for that. I like the fact that the progression of this game feels more like a traditional Dark Souls game to me. It's less like Elden Ring, and I very much appreciate that, because that's one of the things I didn't like about Elden Ring. I felt overwhelmed by how open everything was, and I always kind of felt like I was missing certain things, and it just kind of stressed me out a little bit. I like the fact that, this game is just, you're going to move from one area to another, and so the areas are pretty open as well. Like, there's this whole mechanic where you have this lantern, and you hold it up, and it reveals a second world. And in a way, this is kind of stressing me out, because you can enter the second world at any time, but it's much more dangerous, and it reveals to you a whole new level layout, basically, where there are secrets, different paths you can go, items you can find that you would otherwise miss if you didn't enter this world. So it adds a whole new layer to exploration in the game. I've only fought one boss so far, and it was relatively challenging for me at first. I had to just learn the moveset, but I was able to get past it without too much frustration. I did try out co-op multiplayer, and I kind of like the way they're handling it. So they do co-op multiplayer a little bit differently than what we see in the traditional Soulsborne games from Software, where in the FromSoft games, you can only invite people up until you complete a boss battle, and after the boss battle, they go back to their world. In this game, you can just keep going, which is very cool. I really think they should have had that in Elden Ring, where your co-op partners don't leave you after you fight a boss and complete a boss battle. You could just play the whole game cooperatively. However, where they did screw up is, at least in my opinion, if they're going to allow something like that, like you can play the whole game cooperatively, if you're not the host, you don't get any gear, as far as I'm aware, or you don't get most of the gear. So, with brown sugar or Mrs. MBG? With brown sugar. Jay Shako with brown sugar. But yeah, generally speaking, Lords of the Fallen, it's a pretty competent game. It's a pretty good game, but I can understand why people are giving this game a lot of grief because of the performance. It seems like there's just something wrong with Unreal Engine 5 on consoles. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It seems like every time there's and there hasn't been many instances, but every time there's an Unreal Engine 5 release on the PS5 or the Series X, it just has issues. Now, I don't know. It seems like it's even having issues on PC. Yeah, it seems like it's having maybe even worse issues on PC. I don't know what's going on, man. I did see a supposed leak from a developer where they basically said that they switched mid-development to Unreal Engine 5 and this basically ruined their game, or this was a big mistake because they needed much more time and they needed time to optimize, and the publisher didn't want to give them that time. I don't know if there's truth to that. That was a supposed leak. I could kind of see it being true, though. It seems like it's not Unreal Engine 5's fault, though, from what I can gather. It just seems like developers need more time with it. They do. But yeah, there's also the fact that apparently Unreal Engine 5 is extremely demanding. So that could be creating problems. Maybe Unreal Engine 5 is an engine that really is ahead of its time. Maybe it's not going to be until the next generation of computer components as well as consoles where we see it fully taken advantage of and optimized. I don't know, but I hope we don't continue to see this. But I don't want to make it sound like it's a complete broken mess, because on PS5, with my experience, it has not been that. It's had some issues, yes, but it's not unplayable. And I think people sometimes forget. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm not, because I really do believe developers should just, or publishers should, give their teams time to properly optimize and finish their games. I'm not saying it's okay to release an unfinished game. It's not. But I do think that people sometimes forget that, we've all, I think at certain times, played games at release that had some serious issues, and we still enjoyed them. We still look back on them very fondly. I don't want to sit here and pretend that I'm the type of person where if the game has any performance issues, I'm not touching it. Apparently, Devil Shooter's saying that that's his stance. I'm not like that. I mean, if it's really bad, that's one thing. If it's like borderline unplayable, to me, that is a problem. Yeah, that's unacceptable. Like, completely. But yeah, I don't know, man. I guess my only hope is that they fix these issues very quickly. But publishers need to stop, man. They need to stop. I'm so tired of this. When are publishers going to realize that you'll make more money? You will. You'll make more money if you give your teams time to just fully finish the game and optimize it, rather than rushing it out the door. You will, because the word of mouth will be much more positive, and that goes a long way in this industry. Michael Lynch with a $5 super chat. He says, I'm a little behind. For people that say that the trailer is a spoiler, get over yourself. He gave you a warning to leave during the trailer. Blame yourself. Michael Lynch not taking any nonsense. Michael Lynch laying it down, dropping the hammer, saying, hey, he warned you. Yeah, I the only thing I feel a little bit bad about is because I watched it so early in the stream. I think some people came in and they came in the middle of the trailer playing and didn't hear the warning. And I kind of, I feel for them. I get it, but I appreciate you backing me up there, Michael. I don't necessarily feel that intensely about it, but yeah, I do think it's a situation where, guys, we're just watching a launch trailer. Okay. Like, it's not, it's really not that serious in my opinion. So I appreciate that, Michael. And we have a $5 super chat from Dark Horse. He says it in my, oops, what the hell just happened? Error. That's weird. Huh. I thought I deleted your super chat, Dark Horse, but I didn't. You're saying, in my opinion, Lies of P was a more superior experience, and it was on Game Pass, which I bought the deluxe edition for Lords of the Fallen and had a worse experience. Yeah, I've been hearing incredible things about Lies of P, and I haven't gotten around to playing it yet, but I've been hearing very, very good things, and I'll be honest, I think the thing that really kind of got me to pick up Lords of the Fallen first is the co-op, is knowing that you can play the game cooperatively, because I feel like it's been a long time since I played a solid co-op game, and it's not, again, it's not the best co-op experience, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like the thing about Lies of P that got me a little bit concerned is people were saying, like, this game is brutally hard. And that, I'll be honest, like, that made me kind of take a step back and be like, huh. Like, people who played all the Dark Souls games, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, they were saying, like, this game is significantly harder than those games. And Sekiro, it's harder than Sekiro. And I'm just like, look, I don't find that appealing. I don't. Like, that actually makes me not want to play a game, where I am not looking to bash my head against the wall playing a game. I do expect difficulty, and I do like a challenge, but I do not enjoy an extreme challenge that pushes you to your limit, and it's like you have to completely. The last game I played that I experienced that was Sifu, and I won't lie, like, at the end of that game with the last boss, like, I started to really get frustrated, where I'm like, okay, this is like borderline becoming unenjoyable. And I had, yes, Devil Shooter, I had to get good. I had to get good, and I did. But I just noticed, like, I only can do that so much until I just start to get tired. I go from getting good to just, I'm getting tired, You're saying Lies of P isn't too hard, but leveling up in a new area takes a while. I mean, I did struggle with the end of Elden Ring, like the last, batch of boss battles. I really did struggle. So MBG is going to skip Lies of P. We've been here before. I mean, I might come back to it. I might. I mean, at this point, I might even end up skipping Lords of the Fallen, because it's like, I don't know why it just didn't register when I was like, oh, this game's co-op. It's like, dude, Spider-Man's coming out in less than a week. So we'll see, though. Maybe I'll have time to balance all these games out. And then there's Alan Wake 2. Jeez. You're saying it's not hard. Give me God of War difficulty is harder. Really? Well, I mean, that does sound pretty difficult, though. I didn't play God of War and give me God of War difficulty. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that definitely turned me off the game. But those are my thoughts on Lords of the Fallen. I don't want to go, on and on about it, because frankly, I haven't put much time into it. I think I've only put about 4 to 5 hours into Lords of the Fallen. And most of it was just kind of learning the mechanics and figuring out how this game works. But yeah, it's a little bit floaty. I'll get back to you guys if I end up putting more time into it and letting you know, after I get further in the game, what I think of it. But I want to move on to the next topic here, which still talks about a PlayStation 5 Soulsborne title. So I have an article here from Push Square, and the title reads, Sony's allegedly testing a super secret Soulsborne for PS5. Sony may have hosted tests for a super secret Soulsborne game, presumably for PS5 this week. The mysterious release was discovered by Reddit as part of a submission by a market research firm in the UK. According to the listing, the event was scheduled to take place in Oxford Circus between October 10th and October 13th. Given the close proximity to PlayStation's UK headquarters, it's safe to assume that Sony was involved. The company says the same company has also conducted consumer analysis for releases like Dreams and Gran Turismo 7. Of course, the exact nature of the title here is unclear, although there are people speculating that the game may be the upcoming PS5 exclusive Rise of the Ronin. It's believed that the Team Ninja title will release in early 2024, and so it's feasible that playtests would be taking place right now, or around now if that's the case. Of course, it's not yet known whether this outing will have Soulsborne elements, and so it's also possible the market research is being conducted could relate to another title. And so, yeah, there are a lot of people thinking that, because you know how it is, it's Bloodborne. It's Bloodborne 2. It's Bloodborne Remake. It seems highly likely that this is for Rise of the Ronin. We did get that rumor or that leak, whatever. I think it was a leak because we actually got images with it from, I think it was somebody in the Snitches Discord, and they revealed some images of Rise of the Ronin, and they said that the game is targeting an early 2024 release. And a lot of people were thinking, this is the same team that made Neo and Neo 2 and Wolong Fallen Dynasty, so it's probably going to be a lot like a Soulsborne. So I think this is good news, because if they're in the process of playtesting Rise of the Ronin, it seems like they may actually be targeting that early 2024 release, which is kind of crazy to me, because we already have on PS5 Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as well as Helldivers 2. And so if they come out and they're like, yeah, we're also going to have Rise of the Ronin, I mean, you can kind of begin to understand why Sony maybe doesn't feel in a rush to give us that roadmap, because it's like, look at all these games you have coming in the next 6 months. So Rise of the Ronin is a game I'm very excited about. We saw this revealed, I believe, at a State of Play last year. I think it was September 2022. So it's been over a year since we've seen anything more of it. I'm looking forward to it, man. I thought that trailer looked incredible. It looks like a combination of like Ghost of Tsushima, a little bit of Assassin's Creed in there, a little bit of, I don't want to say not Dark Souls or Bloodborne, but maybe some of those types of mechanics. Richard Rodriguez, a member for 4 months, says, I am low-key getting worried. Sony needs to buy Ubisoft, Apple, partnerships and small studios for consistent annual output. Did you see the Bandai Namco rumors? Richard, I am not aware of the Bandai Namco rumors. If you in the chat, if you want to let me know what these rumors are. And then I have Tyler in the chat saying, MBG, has it been confirmed that Rise of the Ronin is Souls-like? I thought it was more like Ghost of Tsushima. It has not been confirmed. And Chris is following up by saying Rise of the Ronin is not a Souls-like. It's an action RPG. It's not like Neo series. I expect better research from you, MBG. Well, look, I'm not saying it is a Souls-like, because you are correct. It has been confirmed to be an action RPG. You're saying it's not a Souls-like. Well, hold on. This is where I'm getting confused, Chris. You're saying it's not a Souls-like. It's an action RPG. It's not like the Neo series, but aren't many of these Souls-like games categorized under the action RPG genre? Isn't that something that, am I crazy? Am I crazy for thinking that? So, yeah. So I guess in a way, like Souls-like pretty much does translate to action RPG, but I think that Souls-like is more specific. Action RPG, I think, is more broad. I'm just saying that it would not be surprising if whoever was putting this together, yeah, I mean, we're getting into semantics at this point. It wouldn't be surprising to me if they just categorized it under like a Souls-like. Because what else could it be? Phantom Blade? Maybe. What else could it be, though? That's the question that I think people have. What else could it be? I mean, I saw some people even saying it's going to be Demon Souls 2. What? Why would anybody think it's Demon Souls 2? That would be incredible. If Blue Point Games makes Demon's Souls 2, that'd be incredible. But I don't think so. But Richard, getting back to what you're saying here, man, you're saying that Sony needs to, you're starting to low-key get worried. Sony needs to buy Ubisoft, do an Apple partnership. Listen, it's understandable that people are going to begin to talk this way now that the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal has closed. But one thing I will say is Sony should not rush anything. I firmly believe that. I understand that Sony is worried as a company about getting left behind. I mean, I saw some bizarre stuff on Twitter, right? I saw somebody on Twitter, or at least a couple people, they were having conversations about like gaming revenue, where I saw like this chart where somebody pointed out that even after Microsoft gets Activision Blizzard, they still are not going to make more revenue yearly than Sony or PlayStation does in gaming. And first off, I think that's weird to be pointing out, because it's like, why does that matter to you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get that. I do not feel worried about Sony's revenue. I don't. I'm not worried about Sony's position as a market leader. I don't feel worried about that at all, because I honestly don't really care at this point if Microsoft starts overtaking Sony. A part of me almost kind of hopes they do. But there is one fear I have, and this is the only fear. My only fear is that if Microsoft starts to overtake Sony because they make more money than them, they make more revenue, my fear is that Sony's going to start chasing them. And I think that's a lost cause. I think that is going to be a mistake. I think that will be, if there's anything that's going to undo Sony or the PlayStation brand, it would be that. It would be Sony chasing Microsoft, chasing $1 trillion company. Why would you do that? What Sony should be doing, in my opinion, is just focus up on what it is you do best and lean into that. Dig in. Of course, evaluate the landscape. If there are studios you think would be a good purchase, and maybe, just maybe, if there is a perfect golden opportunity for a publisher acquisition, again, I don't know. I don't know that that's a wise decision for Sony. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. They would know better than I would. But I don't know, man. I just don't like where this is headed. I don't. And I'm going to tell you right now why. Sony shouldn't chase Microsoft because Microsoft has a different business model than Sony does. And I think that would wreak havoc for the PlayStation brand. Microsoft's business model is Game Pass, a monthly subscription service that they put all of their eggs into that basket. Everything comes back down to Game Pass for Microsoft. And it's working for them. But they have to pay for it a lot. They're paying a lot of money to make this work. Hence the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And, of course, there's the mobile thing as well with King. But I think this idea that Sony's going to effectively chase a $1 trillion company that has put all of their eggs in a subscription service basket, I think Sony would be foolish to do that, because it's like, Sony, you just raised the price of your subscription service and offered almost nothing for doing that. You made it clear time and time again, you're not doing day and date games into your service. Simply put, Sony made it crystal clear, we are not doing what Microsoft does. Then why would you chase them? Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't know that I'm in agreement that Sony needs to worry about buying Ubisoft or partnering with Apple. Does Sony have to worry about what Microsoft is doing and how it could impact their platform? Yes. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as Sony makes it clear we're not doing what Microsoft does, then why would you care what they're achieving? Because that's why they're achieving it. Microsoft is achieving what they are because of Game Pass and Game Pass alone. Someone will say, no, it's because they bought Bethesda. It's because they bought Activision Blizzard. That's why they're achieving what they're achieving. No, it's because of Game Pass. The only reason Microsoft bought Bethesda and bought Activision Blizzard and Phil was allowed to buy these companies is because of the Game Pass promise. That's why. Because Game Pass is going to be everywhere one day. I mean, it's already almost everywhere. And you can see why people like that idea. And Sony is resistant. Sony is reluctant. And Sony is resistant and reluctant because they know that model probably won't work for them. Because it's too risky. Or maybe they just don't want to do it because they feel like it's not going to make them enough money. Whatever the reason is, Sony's not doing it. And so I just think that people need to realize that if Sony buys a publisher, you know what's going to happen, right? Sony's going to get condemned. People are going to hate them for that because Sony doesn't have Game Pass. Sony is not putting those games onto PlayStation Plus. The only thing that's going to happen if Sony buys a publisher is they're going to say, we own them. Their money is our money now. And you're still going to have to pay full price for these games. And maybe if you're on PlayStation, some of them will be exclusive. I don't know if you're saying nobody will hate them, only you will. I won't hate them for doing. I mean, dude, I pay full price for my games now. I wouldn't hate Sony for doing that. I'm saying right now, the reason why people are propping up Microsoft and there are people out here literally thanking Microsoft for buying Activision is because they are ready for those games to come into the service that they pay only $11 a month for. That's why. It's because they know every time Microsoft acquires a publisher or a studio, I now get those games in my service. My service is growing. The service that I play my games through, it's growing and I get more. I get more for the same amount that I'm paying now. That's not what Sony's doing. Sony is very much, we will raise the price of PlayStation Plus. You will not get more, or you'll get Sony Pictures Core. That's what you'll get. And you'll get PS5 cloud streaming. And that's all you'll get for now. And if we buy a publisher, those games are not going into PlayStation Plus day one. So how do you think people are going to react to that? People are going to be like, wow, Sony sucks. Sony's worse than Microsoft because Sony won't do what Microsoft does. And I honestly, I'm not looking forward to that. That's one of the reasons I hope Sony doesn't buy a publisher, because they're going to get a lot of flack. And you're going to see people coming out here and they're going to butt heads and they're going to fight. And you're going to see PlayStation fans say, oh, well, I guess it's okay when Microsoft does it, but not when Sony does it. And you're going to get Xbox fans that are going to turn around and say, yeah, you're right, because Microsoft puts their games into my service. Yours doesn't. Sony doesn't. They make you still pay. And there's no argument against that. There is no argument against that. So it's like, I'm not looking, one of the reasons I'm not looking forward to further escalation of consolidation is because that's where we're going. If Sony decides that they want to chase Microsoft, unless Sony makes a hard left turn, or U-turn, I should say, and they decide to say, you know what, we are going to start putting our games day one onto PlayStation Plus. If they do that, the entire conversation changes. The entire landscape changes. But let me ask you, does it seem like Sony's getting ready to do that? I don't think so. So I think Sony's best bet, as I've said, and I will continue to say, frankly, is I just think that if they're going to buy anybody, because I'll be honest, I think Sony is going to continue to buy studios. It should be studios that make sense for them. Studios that, they can continue to grow. I've always used the term diamonds in the rough. I see Capono says, I don't get why gamers think Sony needs to buy anyone. They're doing great. Well, I'm in agreement with that, Capono. I don't think there's some kind of need for Sony to buy anyone right now. I understand why some people they might feel that kind of like pressure where it's like, oh my God, Microsoft just closed the biggest gaming acquisition in history. Sony's got to do something. But it's like, but they're doing great. And there's like no sign right now that, listen, Microsoft is going to find a new level of success with Activision Blizzard. Obviously, they're going to make way more money than they ever have with the Xbox brand. But that doesn't mean that suddenly Sony makes less money. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that, well, now Sony's, if Call of Duty was taken off, which we know it won't be, at least for 10 years, at least a decade, the conversation would be different. Yeah, that would absolutely hurt Sony revenue-wise. And Microsoft would do direct damage. Microsoft would gain revenue at the expense of Sony, losing revenue. But that's not really what's happening right now. Sony's doing just fine. And they're going to continue to make that Call of Duty money, and Microsoft's going to rake in that Call of Duty money. And it's just, I just don't want to see Sony get into that like kind of panic state where it's like our revenue, we're not going to be the leader in revenue anymore, or our competition starting to leapfrog us. And it's like, okay, but when's enough? That's my personal feeling on it. Like, when is enough? Why do listen, I'll say this. Sony would do well to focus on their fans, to focus on the people that make their brand what it is today. Sony would do well to focus on their studios that they have. Sony would do well to understand that their greatest strength has never been, well, I don't want to say has never been, but right now, at least for as long as they've been at the top, their greatest strength has not been chasing others, but just doing what they do best. That's their greatest strength. Sony would do well to lean into that, dig in with that, and not worry about, the best thing Sony can do, make your own games. Simply put, make your own games and try to make those games do as much heavy lifting for you as you possibly can, to make as much money for you as they possibly can. Because you succeed in doing that, well, you're going to take a lot less damage when you lose third-party games. That's my take on it. Roshdom, you're saying, but shareholders want more money, MBG? I know. MBG, did you hear about Sony acquiring Bandai Namco and Arrowhead Studios? I need to know where this is coming from. I'll look that up in a second. Doolin Jones. Let me give a big shout out to Doolin Jones for donating, which looks to be about $20 with a super chat. Really appreciate that support, buddy. You're saying here Spider-Man 2 is going to be not a great game, but awesome and incredible experience to play on PS5. I'm hyped. I'm expecting Metacritic score to be 90. Never doubt Spider-Man games. Insomniac is number one. Not debatable. The rest of PlayStation Studios will come with time. Doolin Jones out here getting hyped as hell. Getting super hyped for Spider-Man 2. Showing love to Insomniac. Me and Doolin Jones seem to be on the same page here. He says that he is expecting the Metacritic score to be a 90. That's what I'm expecting as well. And really quickly here, let me make sure I give a big shout out to Tyson Webb 509, longtime member, re-upping his membership. As you can tell by his badge, he has been a member for a long time. So Tyson Webb, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that type of support, that consistency, that long time membership. It means a lot, and I appreciate you re-upping it, dude. It's good to see. So that brings us up to 13 members on the day, which is awesome to see.
Thank you.
That's for you, Tyson. And Doolin Jones, just to get back to what you were saying here, Spider-Man 2. Dude, listen, like I said, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but maybe I will in this case. I just watched that launch trailer and I didn't think I could get any more excited. I mean, this game looks incredible. It does. I understand Spider-Man 2 is not Spider-Man is not everyone's cup of tea. There's some people who are feeling burnt out with the superhero stuff. Some people feel like the game is going to be too whatever, but not me, man. I'm right there with you. Insomniac is an absolute beast of a studio. They've proven that let's just face it. They've carried the PlayStation 5 this generation. And they're doing it again. They're doing it again with Spider-Man 2. So absolutely, Doolin Jones. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And let's get some W's in the chat for Omen86. The legend. The legend returns. He comes in here. He drops a super chat, which I'll read in just a second. But he also drops 5 more memberships for the community. So I want to give you a big thank you for that, Omen. And a big shout out again to all of you guys who continue to support the channel with membership gifts. It's incredibly kind of you. And if it wasn't for that support, I wouldn't be able to do these streams the way that I do them. So thank you. Let me add that to the counter. That brings us up to 18 memberships on the day. So we're getting very close to the halfway point with the memberships today. And Omen, I will read your chat in a moment. I need to make sure I get these other 2. I've been making them wait. We have Swizz and Doolin. Again, thank you for the chat, man. Swizz says, I feel Microsoft locked down ABK and Ubisoft at the same time. Ubisoft probably can't make a deal without Microsoft having a say or knowing. 2 birds, 1 stone. Great stream. I mean, I doubt it. I don't think something like that could happen in such a way. I mean, the furthest I think we could take this, Swizz, realistically, is Microsoft is buddying up with Ubisoft here, where it's like, hey, Ubisoft, we're in the process of acquiring Activision Blizzard. We're running into a roadblock. You want to strike a deal here so we can get this approved with the CMA? But honestly, I'll tell you right now, man, it's actually the opposite. Right? Like they're buddying up. Of course, they're getting closer to this big third-party publisher, but it's the opposite. Now that Ubisoft has struck this deal with Microsoft, it essentially ensures that they're not going to be able to acquire Ubisoft. The only way they could acquire Ubisoft, and I still don't think they would be able to, is Ubisoft would then have to offload this deal with the Activision Blizzard games to somebody else. And I just think it makes things too complicated. It makes things too messy. I don't think Microsoft has any chance of acquiring Ubisoft. I don't. I think this is just an opportunity that Microsoft saw where they were like, you know what, maybe this could help strengthen our partnership with Ubisoft, but also most importantly, help us get this deal over the line. That's my opinion on it, Swizz. But interesting to think about, certainly. Richard Rodriguez with a $2 super chat says PlayStation needs to make a AA studio just for day one PlayStation Plus. I see where you're coming from, Richard. The only reason I'm not so sure that would be a smart idea is, number one, it goes kind of against what Sony likes to do, which is AAA games. But number two is, if they were to do that, you have to keep in mind, anytime Sony does day one PlayStation Plus games, they are conditioning their fan base, which is, I don't think, a problem, but it could be a problem for them if they don't want to send the wrong message and create confusion. Anytime Sony drops day one games into PlayStation Plus, they're saying, hey, we do this too. Now, they've only done it really with third-party games. If they were to start doing it, even with a dedicated AA studio with their own games, they're beginning to send a clear message like, see, we'll drop PlayStation Studio titles day one. And it's going to make people start to cry out more. more and more for, well, if you're going to do it for this studio and this game, then you got to do it for Spider-Man 2 as well, right? You got to do it for Wolverine as well, and the next God of War, and the next Horizon, so on and so forth. What the hell was that? What was that noise? As far as I'm aware, no one's home right now. And I just heard the creepiest noise outside my door. I think it has to be Leia. What is that noise? Yo, guys, I'm freaking out right now. What is that noise? You guys can't hear it. What the fuck is that? Is it Boss? Dude, I swear I'm hearing describe the sound. It sounds like some kind of exhale, like an intense exhale. Like just something like that. And it's really, I don't know. Maybe it's Leia outside the door or something. Maybe she's like coughing up a hairball. Am I losing it? I might be losing it. I'm just freaked out because there's nobody here right now, and I'm hearing the weirdest sound. Well, whatever. If it's a ghost, if it's an intruder, we'll find out. We'll find out together on stream. It's Jim Ryan's ghost. Very strange. Very strange sound. It's a BT. Oh, yeah. Omen86, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, man. Good timing here, too, because you dropped another super chat. I'll read both of them back to back, and I very much appreciate the support, bud. You're saying just an update. I've been gone a while for two reasons. Number one, I've been sick. I'm better now. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Omen. Not that you were sick, but I'm glad to hear that you've recovered. It's never fun being sick. It absolutely sucks. You're saying number two, I've been consumed with playing Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Can't wait for Rebirth. Yeah, I haven't played Crisis Core Reunion. Heard pretty good things about it, and I think people definitely want me to play it. But I have played Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm glad to hear you're playing it. I don't know if it's your first time playing it, dude, but incredible game. Absolutely incredible game. Super excited for Rebirth. And you know what? I think I know what that sound is. Yep. Okay, I figured out what the sound is. It is Leia. I forget. Sometimes I forget she sleeps in my closet. Like, she'll sneak her way into the closet and she'll sleep in there. I guess to her it's like a cave. And I can tell she's almost like snoring a little bit. Not a lot, but she's like, you know, making some audible sounds while sleeping. And that's what it is. God. So weird. It sounds so creepy from here. That is the sound of inevitability. Yeah, she must be dreaming. She's entered a deep sleep. Good for her, though. I think she needs it. She's always on edge. So these damn cats, man, I swear. And Omen, your second super chat, and I appreciate you letting me know that, Omen. It's, you know, we were wondering where's Omen, man. The past 2 or 3 streams, where's he at? You're saying here with another chat, you're saying I've enjoyed replaying Crisis Core way more than I should have. To think it all started out as a PSP game. Next Friday, guys, Sony will drop the bomb. Absolutely. Omen, I don't know if you're aware, but Sony did just release the launch trailer for Spider-Man 2. And we watched it earlier on stream. If you haven't seen this trailer, Omen, you got to go check it out. It genuinely, and I mean this, it got me even more excited for the game. They showed a little bit more of Venom. Whew. Looks incredible. So, but Omen, yeah, I appreciate all the support you show the channel, man. It's very much appreciated. It's so weird. I feel like there's like a kind of back and forth situation that goes on here where Exley 3000 was gone for a little bit and then came, and I think you were here, Omen, and then when you weren't here, Exley came back. Are you guys the same person? Uh-oh. I think they might be the same person. No, but then Exley came back, and then Corey Landiga came back, and then like now they're gone today. Now you're back, and it's like, what's going on with your guys' schedule? No, but I appreciate it, dude. And so I think I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there about what Sony should do. And it, you know what, really quick, now I remember, where is this rumor coming from with Sony looking to acquire Bandai Namco and Arrowhead Studios? I just want to know where this is coming from. So chat, please let me know before I move on to the next topic, because I'm very curious. And Omen again with another chat says, am I aware? Am I aware, you ask? Are you kidding? Of course I am. The hype is going through the roof. Well, I apologize, Omen. I assumed you were. To be fair, I assumed you were aware, Omen. But, just in case you like just woke up or something, I don't know. I just want to make sure. Fernando, you're saying they made it up. But Omen, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we're all hyped here. Omen, I hope you can show up tomorrow. I hope everybody here can show up tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's stream because and I probably should let you know this, because I don't normally stream on Mondays. I am going to be streaming tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the review scores of Spider-Man 2. We're going to have a stream dedicated to that, so it should be a good time. Yeah, I've mortally offended Omen. Richard Rodriguez says, some guy named Alex Smith on Twitter, he made a small thread that Sony already planned to, but halted due to ABK. Alex Smith. See, this is where I'm like, yeah, that's a load of BS, man. Like, who's Alex Smith? Who is this? What credibility does he have? Just some random user on Twitter named Alex Smith is going to know that Sony is in talks or was in talks to buy Bandai Namco. Come on, man. I don't, and I'm not saying you guys believe it. You're just mentioning it, but this is where it's like, you got it. I'm at a point where I don't know that I'm going to believe any rumors regarding acquisitions. I just don't think I'm going to believe any of it, because why would I? How would anybody really realistically know of such large acquisitions? Capono says, wonder if MBG is aware of the Sniper Wolf drama. I've seen some stuff popping up about it. And honestly, I'm just like, I don't really care that much, because it's like, I have a theory that people on the internet, and I know this because I'm on the internet myself, sometimes we tend to make things sound like a much bigger deal than they really are. And I'm not downplaying anything, but it sounds like she did something she wasn't supposed to. I have a funny story, though. That Sniper Wolf person, dude, many years ago, I remember coming across her when she first started her YouTube channel. So she has like 34 million subscribers. I wonder if people realize her name is SS Sniper Wolf because of Metal Gear, right? Like, she was supposedly a Metal Gear fan. Dude. Okay. Weird noises are happening today, guys. I came across her channel way back when she only had, I think, like a couple hundred subscribers. And she would actually talk about Metal Gear and stuff like that, and her passion for gaming and Metal Gear. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I love Metal Gear too. And it is absolutely wild to see where she is now, where it's like, wow. Okay. You went in that direction where you just like, she's a TikTok reactor now or something like that. I don't know. But I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. It really took it went in a strange direction that I would have never expected. But yeah, that's kind of the funny story I have with that YouTuber in particular, where I remember coming across her channel like way back. I mean, this is probably almost probably over a decade ago. And yeah, can't say I'm a fan. But let's see here. Didn't she kind of get caught for for faking gameplay or something like that, faking Call of Duty gameplay. What direction? Look, man, I'm not going to judge anybody too harshly, or at least I'm going to try not to. All I'm going to say is the type of content she creates on her YouTube channel with 34 million subscribers, I'm not interested in. Even a little bit. Like there's no interest there. I struggle I struggle to understand how some of the most popular people become as popular as they do with the type of stuff they do, because to me it just I struggle. It just seems so. I'm trying to just not be too overly aggressive here with what I'm saying for no reason, but it's just like I don't understand I don't get it. I'll just leave it at that. I don't get it. It's so weird to me. You're saying, MBG, this situation has put YouTube in the spotlight. Let's see how they handle it. They're not going to do anything. Oh, no, they're not going to do anything. I know, because she apparently she doxed another very popular YouTuber by posting his house outside. She was outside of his house, and she posted it on her Instagram. I think she had 5 million followers or something like that. And it's, it's becoming a big deal where it's like, how could this happen? There has to be some kind of consequences. And she's playing I didn't know what I was doing. I don't even know what that is. Okay, sure. She's playing that card. But YouTube won't do anything. She has a YouTube channel. She's one of the most popular YouTube channels. She has 34 million subscribers. You know how much money she makes YouTube? Yeah, they're not going to do anything. They won't. It's just the way it is, man. Just the way it is. All right, so I want to move on to this topic here. Really quick, though, Miguel is saying you should read about the possible Bandai Namco acquisition, MBG. He has given quite a lot of details. He even mentioned details about the ABK acquisition in Jim, the man Ryan himself. Look, man, maybe there is some kind of 1% chance that this person is legitimate, that they actually know this information and they're giving it out. I'll be real with you. I don't care. I don't. Because it's you could be correct, but there's nothing here. If it was Tom Henderson or Jason Schreier that came out and was there's talks that Sony is looking into Bandai Namco. Sure. Yeah, I'll absolutely cover that, because that's wow, these guys have credibility. They have reputations that they're putting on the line, and they're mentioning this. Yeah, I would absolutely talk about it. But when it comes to, frankly, people with no credibility, I do not care. I just don't. Because anybody can make up anything. Saying read his thread, though. But why? Why would I? I mean, look, man, if you were to say to me, do you think Sony could be in talks with Bandai Namco? It's a possibility, absolutely. They've already invested, at least in From Software. I could absolutely see Sony wanting to invest or look into acquiring Bandai Namco, but I think people need to understand with these high-level acquisitions that the most reputable insider could come out tomorrow and say, hey, Sony is in talks to acquire Bandai Namco or Square Enix or Konami. It doesn't matter. Because what people need to understand is these types of negotiations can fall apart at any second. I guarantee you Sony has had conversations with publishers where they started to get off the ground. Okay, we might actually get the ball rolling here, and then it just stops. And for whatever reason, it's just, okay, actually, that's not going to happen. I guarantee you that has happened multiple times over the past couple of years with Sony and other publishers. That's the nature of these situations. The best thing I would recommend to everybody is when it comes to acquisition rumors, I know people want to get excited. I understand. Believe me, I understand. The best thing to do is do not even pay attention. Because even if they're true, and even if they're coming from a credible source, that source has absolutely no idea where those negotiations are going. They have no idea. It's like, hearing the rumor that Disney is looking to potentially pursue EA. That it doesn't matter. Like, us knowing that means nothing. Because even if they're negotiating right now, it could fall apart at any moment. It's not done until it's done. And that's the way it is. So the next time I would say focus on an acquisition is when Sony announces they're acquiring somebody. Until they announce it, it doesn't matter. Low Cut, you're saying my moderators are getting a little trigger happy. Let me see. Who did they... Well, I'm not seeing anything recently. I'll keep an eye out. It's just I don't really blame my moderators, frankly, because we've had to deal with so much toxicity here. Truthfully, we've had to deal with so many just terrible people just joining the chat and just trying to ruin things. I do understand it. I do understand it. By the way, guys, before we move on to the next topic here, do me a big favor. We still have nearly 500 people here watching. Take a second out of your time. Hit that like button. If you appreciate the streams, if you want to show your support, if you want to help with YouTube's algorithm, take a second, hit that like button. I think we could easily crush 300 likes right now. We're sitting at 270. Again, we have almost 500 people here. I think we could do it. I'd really appreciate that. All right, so I want to move on to the next topic here, which is talking once again about the PlayStation 5 Slim. Okay, with the PlayStation 5 Slim. Oh, hold on. Devil Shooter, you're saying MBG, he is confusing YouTube deleting messages. It's been happening to me all day. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Some people are saying that YouTube is having some issues today. It seems like anytime YouTube does stuff on the back end, it seems like it causes certain things to glitch out and people notice there are some issues. That seems to be what's happening right now. So, yeah, because I've been paying attention to the chat. I haven't been seeing any of my moderators deleting anything. So, yeah. But I want to talk about this PlayStation 5 Slim. I want to talk about this because it seems like we have some comparison shots. Now, these are not official, but they are the closest thing to official. I'm actually going to bring it up on screen here. This is the PS5 Slim, which it's not actually officially named the Slim, but the new PS5 model up against the current PS5 model. And I have an article here. It's from PlayStation Lifestyle. They say a Reddit user has created official renders of the PS5 Slim and launch models placed together to show a size comparison. Sony provided dimensions for the revised model, but didn't release any official photos to show how much of a difference players can expect overall. When reports of images of the PS5 Slim originally surfaced, insiders debated whether the new iteration would classify as slim, since based on their initial information, there wasn't much of a size difference. Much of the focus was placed on the console coming with a detachable drive. Now, thanks to Reddit user Nature Certain, we have a fairly good idea of how much smaller the Slim version really is. And it says the PS5 Slim looks considerably smaller than many had assumed. Sony had revealed its dimensions as 358 by 96 by 216 millimeters for the disk drive version, and 358 by 80 by 216 millimeters for the digital version, excluding projecting parts. Sony says that the PS5 has been reduced in volume by more than 30%, weight by 18%, and 24%. So, yeah, what do you guys think of this image here? I mean, honestly, it is kind of smaller than I thought it would be based off of what I saw in the trailer. I expected it to be only very slightly like slimmer and smaller, but from what I'm looking at here, I mean, in terms of height, it's pretty close. But in terms of just overall, I don't know, just chonkiness, I don't know what you want to call it. It really does look like it's actually slimmer than at least what I expected. So I don't know if you guys agree or not, but is anybody here going to be getting a PS5, a new PS5 model here? Oh, I think I have another image, by the way. I can bring up a different comparison image. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the PS5 Slim model has been... Oh, here we go. Here's another one. So there's this one. So actually, this one's pretty good, too, because this actually does make it look significantly shorter. That is a pretty big difference, I gotta say. I'm really interested when this console launches to get in-depth analysis and breakdowns and comparisons to see, like, what is the heat distribution like? You know, is it running as efficient? I mean, you have to assume it's going to run just as efficiently as the current PS5, right? Like, that's kind of the whole point. It has to work just as well as the current PS5. And if it doesn't, that would be a problem. You wonder how big the Pro will be? That's a question I have as well. I could see the Pro ending up being about as big as the current model PS5. That, to me, would make the most sense. I could maybe even seeing it being, no, I don't want to say bigger, but maybe about the same size as the current model PS5. You know what would be shocking is if they could get it smaller. That would be quite shocking. Because the PS5 Pro, I mean, again, reportedly, it's going to offer double the performance. So, I mean, it's clearly going to have to be bigger than the new revised model. But I think the real question is, will it be bigger or smaller than the current PS5 model? Because let's face it, whether you like it or not, the PS5 model, the current one, it's massive. I mean, it's an absolutely massive console. I think people I think the reactions when we first saw the PS5, I think it was justified. Like, people were quite shocked. We're like, oh my God, that console is truly huge. Like, way bigger than I think anything we've seen previously. Even bigger than the launch model PS3. And it was quite shocking, but I think everybody kind of got adjusted to it. And you know what I will say, and I didn't talk about this when I first reacted to the PlayStation 5 Slim. The one thing I didn't consider is how much easier it's going to be for people to find space for this console in their entertainment center, right? Like, a lot of people, I think, have had to set up their PS5 in weird ways. I've seen more people than I would have liked to have seen having to literally set their PS5 on the floor, like next to their entertainment center, because it's just too large. Even me, the PS5 that I have out in the living room that my wife uses, I have to put it on top of the subwoofer because it doesn't really fit properly in the in the entertainment center. So I'm like one of these people, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I think it's a nice little benefit. I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but I still can't get over the fact that Sony is going to be selling the vertical stand separately. I really can't wait to get a closer look at the little paperclip, little metal horizontal looking stand that ships with this Slim model. I really want to get a closer look at that and see how that works and how it functions, what it looks like. Because they if you notice the image, the official image that Sony gave us, I'll bring it up here. The official image that Sony gave us for the Slim model, right? When you look at it, it's kind of angled. So you can't really tell. It's kind of difficult to tell when you're looking at the little kickstand there. I mean, does that thing actually look sturdy to you? Does it look cheap? I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this up because I saw so many people asking, like, where's the comparison, Sony? Like, where's the comparison image so we can see how the Slim stacks up against the base model? And essentially, this is what we're looking at. And I have to admit to you guys, the more I look at the PS5 Slim or the revised model, it's growing on me a little bit. It is. I don't think the stand looks that bad. I'm more frustrated at the fact that you have to buy it separately. Like, if this was the stand it shipped with, I'd say that's actually pretty good looking. It's really not that bad. The kind of line in the middle of it, I'm getting used to it. It doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look as bad as I originally thought. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to learn the details, truthfully. That's what I want to know about this Slim model. And I don't think we're going to learn about that until it releases. So, Michael Meridian, hold on. Michael, you're saying with a $10 super chat, which I very much appreciate, buddy. MBG, people complaining about the price of the digital need to remember the Series S is $350 now. So there's still a $100 difference. Wait, is that true? Did I miss something? You're saying the price of the Series S is $350 now. I don't recall ever seeing this. The Xbox Series S price increase. Did I miss something? I don't think so. Oh, you know what? You're talking about the 1 terabyte black model of the Series S. So is this going to be the new model, the standard model, or is it just going to be an option? Because if it's the standard model, if the Series S model, the 1 terabyte black edition, that's going to be $350. Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, Sony didn't really talk about why they increased the price of the discless model. They didn't really talk about why they increased the price of it, and I think the assumption for most people is just simply that, you know, they need to keep making a profit on this console, right? They need to keep making a profit on it, and I've talked about this, and I'll mention it here one more time. I think that people would be making a smart decision by just buying, even if you're buying the new model, right? The new Slim model of the PS5, I think you would be making a smarter decision by just buying the disk drive model, because, I mean, it's a $50 difference. I just don't know why you would choose to go with the digital at that point. I mean, even when the PS5 digital model was $400, I was still encouraging people to maybe gravitate towards the disc model, because I just feel like it's the better deal. It's the better value. You never know when you're going to want to use that disc drive, even if you're somebody who buys your games digitally and consumes your content digitally. I think it's the better way to go. But it is what it is, man. I mean, the thing I don't like is that some people are, for some reason, pretending like the price of everything isn't going up. And that's to me, that's the only thing that's frustrating. It sucks. It does. Like, no one's happy to see the price of a PS5 console, the digital model, go up $50. That's not a good thing. No one likes that. No one likes what Sony's doing with the price increase for PlayStation Plus, but it is frustrating to see certain people behaving and acting as if Sony is literally the only company out here in 2023 raising the price of their products and their subscriptions, right? Like, it's not. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm just simply pointing out that this is a thing that is occurring with almost every company, with almost every product. It's just the way it is right now. And I think in the future, it's going to be likely that Microsoft starts to increase some of the price of their stuff as well. I mean, they've had to increase the price of some of their consoles in certain regions. You know, it's just something that they've had to do. They've even recently had to increase the price of Game Pass. Granted, it wasn't by much. But the point is, it's like these companies are starting to see that, yeah, we're just going to have to keep doing this. And I hope it stops. I do. I think it's becoming a bit much. I think that people are getting very sick and tired and fed up of everything seemingly going up in price. It's annoying. You're saying it is justified? I mean, look, I'm saying from a consumer, it doesn't feel justified, right? from a consumer level, it doesn't feel justifiable. But I bet you if I were to sit there with somebody crunching the numbers and they say, look, if we do all the math here, this is why. And you can see, like, this is why we made this decision. And it makes total sense. But I'm a consumer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a Sony shareholder. I'm not working at Sony. So I call it what it is. And to me, it sucks. You know, that's what it is it just sucks. Whether it's justified or not isn't relevant to me as a consumer. As a consumer, all I know is, the price is going up. That sucks. Now, is it that at the end of the day, is it like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore? No, I'm still enjoying my PlayStation, man. I am. I'm still enjoying what Sony's doing. I mean, dude, Spider-Man 2, let's go. Let's go. All right. So you got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. That's just the way it goes. You're saying being able to attach a disk drive later is a new feature, which is why it costs more. I mean, I could see that angle. I don't know that MBG is 170 gigabytes worth $50. You know what, I've been saying no, but let me actually check. Let me check. Interesting. 150 gigabyte SSD is about $114. Wait, hold on. Yeah, that's what it says here. But then I'm seeing a bunch of other ones that are really cheap. I don't know that it's worth $50. To me, yeah, that sounds way too much. $50 sounds like way too much to me for 170 gigabytes. Yeah, that's true. I can't compare the MSRP. They get it wholesale. I mean, to me, it doesn't sound worth it, frankly. Like, it is nice to have that extra space where you can maybe store another 1 or 2 AAA games. And yeah, you're right. They're likely paying pennies for it. MBG, you can buy a terabyte on sale for under $100. Yeah, it just doesn't add up to me. I think it's just I think it's obvious, man. I think it's obvious why Sony increased the price of the digital model. I think it's just because they want to make it as profitable as they can. I don't think there's any way around it. I think that the cost of everything is going up, and I think Sony want to make sure they're staying in within the realm of profitability. So, Michael, yeah, we'll see. I do have a feeling that this price increase for the digital PS5 Slim is not going to mean much to most people. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be a difference maker in any significant way, because I still think that the overwhelming majority of people are going to buy the disc-based model. Like, I think most people are just going to pay $500 for the PS5. Maybe for a couple of people out there, it might sway them, but by and large, I don't think so. Like, just realistically speaking. Yeah, you're like, holy crap, when did SSDs get so cheap? Yeah, I was kind of surprised too, looking at that. Omen86 with another super chat. He says, I love the PS5's fat size. Let them make the Pro twice as big and fat. I want an absolute monster draining my neighborhood's power to run 8K 60 frames per second. God damn, Omen. Omen says, you know what? Make the PS5 Pro bigger than the base model PS5. He says, screw it. I want it to be as big as it possibly can be. I mean, I can understand that angle. Just go all the way. Don't hold back, right? Just make the thing an absolute monster. Make it a force to be reckoned with in your living room. I would argue the PS5 already is, man. When somebody walks in your living room, the PS5 definitely stands out. I mean, unless it's hidden pretty well. But yeah. Boy lives in Texas. I don't think so. Omen. I think he's in the UK. Here's a question I have for you guys talking about the PS5 Pro. Right? We see how the new Slim PS5 looks like. Do you think the Pro is going to look pretty much identical? It's just going to be a bigger version of the new model PS5 where it's going to have the same exact look. It's going to be rectangular and it's going to have the 4 separate plates with the slit in the middle and the same stand. It's just going to be bigger. I think that's what the Pro is going to be, personally. I don't imagine the PS5 Pro having some kind of radically different looking design. I think it's just going to essentially look like if you would look at the images I just put up, just replace the base model PS5 with just a larger version of the Slim. I think that's going to be what the Pro looks like. I do. So Omen, I don't know that you're going to get the biggest, beefiest monster console ever, but I think you will still get a pretty large console. I do. Saying MBG, I think the PS5 Pro will likely be $500, $550 for the digital. And then you can still buy it. I think it's going to be the other way. Or a little bit more than that, Tyler. I think the PS5 Pro is going to be $550 like for the discless model. And then $600 for the disc model. And ultimately, I think if you want a console, if you want a PS5 console with the disc drive, base model $500, Pro model $600. That's what I see. Swizz, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. That's another reason why I think the PS5 Pro, I think we are looking at a Pro, guys. I think this is what the PS5 Pro is going to look like, just smaller, because they are letting you know that you can still buy the custom plates for this new model. So I don't think they're going to have 3 different sets of PS5 covers. They're just going to have different dimensions, but they work the same exact way. Yeah, that's a good call out, Swizz. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. And once again, I'm going to ask you guys to please hit that like button for me. I'd very much appreciate it. I'm clearly going to have to contact YouTube because there are just people, it's either I'm going to have to contact YouTube or I'm going to have to start asking you guys a lot more to like the streams because there are, for some reason, people creating accounts and I don't know how they're allowed to do this. They are just mass disliking my streams and they are seemingly, I don't know. This is just what they're doing. So, guys, if you really want to help out the stream here, we're gonna need a community effort here. Hit that like button, okay? I really don't want to have to ask this way, but for some reason there are people like I don't know what about this stream is because look, it's either I have to believe that these are people who genuinely dislike the stream. There's no way. There's really nothing about the stream to dislike that much. Okay. We're just talking about some news stuff regarding PlayStation. I don't understand why. Yeah, it is sad, man. Like these people are sending droves of these idiots my way and they are creating multiple accounts. And the reason I know is because sometimes what happens is they do get caught. And what YouTube will do is it will automatically remove like 25 dislikes. It'll just remove 25 dislikes. And that's because their system recognized that these were just bot accounts. You know, these were just the same person. Basically, they would do the same thing if the same person liked the stream, you know, like 50 times or 25 times or something. It's actually incredibly annoying. And I've considered just disabling likes and dislikes, frankly, because it's like, it's ridiculous. I don't understand why people do this, but Yes, Devil Shooter. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who noticed. Devil Shooter says, MBG, I noticed after a lot of the streams, there's usually an Xbox related comment that gets a lot of upvotes and likes very quickly. Yes. There for some reason, there's like one or two people. It could just be one person. And I'm looking into contacting YouTube about this to see if I can get this person, because they are doing this every stream. Like, I don't know why. They have they have some kind of weird dedication here. But after every stream, I'll have like 3 or 4 comments at most within the first 15 minutes of the stream ending. And there will be some kind of comment either saying something about Xbox in a positive way or something negative about PlayStation. And that they'll have like 20 plus upvotes. Like, dude, there's only 25 views on the stream since it ended. It's broken. Like, there's somebody literally targeting my channel. And yeah, so I'm going to look into that because it's getting absolutely ridiculous. But guys, you can help. You can help by, like I said, just hitting that like button. Make their efforts in vain. That would be the best thing. We can do it. We can stop them, man. It is engagement, yeah, but still, it's just not. It's screwing up my numbers because getting engagement like that from a weirdo who's just creating a bunch of accounts and giving me false numbers, that doesn't help anybody. Like, even if I needed to gauge, like, do people actually dislike my streams, it's skewed. I can't get that proper feedback because no, there's one person disliking the stream 40 plus times with multiple accounts. So it's like, what am I supposed to do with that information? You know, like, it's not helpful at all. It is lame. It's very lame. I mean, with the amount of dislikes this stream has, you would think I would have put something in the title like Xbox is going to go downhill or some shit like that. Titus Crow says maybe those comments are absolute bangers. No, dude, it's I let them slide for a while until I realized there's a consistency here. There's a consistency here where there's 1 or 2 people doing this shit, and it's yeah, you know, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, you know, it's, you know what I find funny too, and I'll just point this out. So, how many of you guys were here for my last stream? I think many of you were. My last stream, let me ask you, how critical was I of Sony? How critical was I of Sony last stream? You're saying, MBG, now that you brought it up, they're going to do it even more now. But even dislikes our engagement. Well, no, that's kind of the thing. If they do it more, you know, I will be able to contact YouTube and I'll basically be able to get their. They'll get. I don't know if they'll get in like trouble, but they'll essentially not be able to do it anymore. If I can basically get enough proof. So maybe I'm purposely mentioning it. But yeah, my last stream, I was incredibly critical of Sony. Probably more critical than I've been in a long time. And the bulk of that stream, it was like a 5-hour stream. Multiple hours of that stream were dedicated to me being critical. You know, the groups of people out there that love to clip people and, you know, behave a certain way and paint a certain and write a certain narrative. Do you think that they clip me at all being critical of Sony at all ever? Do you think that they reacted to my stream? Nope. Total silence. Total silence. Because why would they? Why would they, right? Oh man. You got to love it. You got to love it. But yeah, I agree. Sony does deserve some pushback. You were disturbed. You were disturbed by my last stream. I'm sorry. I don't mean to disturb. All right, let's get, I think I got here we go. Another super chat from Omen, which I appreciate, buddy. You're saying the detachable disk drive is great for collectors. It makes it easy to replace the drive. Moving parts break the first. It extends the console's lifetime. That is true. I did see people mentioning that. It is a nice plus that now if something does happen in the long run, you will be able to replace it. The disk drive, that is. Yeah, it's a good call out, Omen. It's not all negative. I just think that the negatives that are there really stick out, but it's not all negative. It's not all bad. All right, let's see. Masoud Alemi, I apologize if I just butchered your name, man. A member for 5 months. He says, appreciate you, MBG. Keep on keeping on. Well, I appreciate that, bud. And thank you for being a member for 5 months. I appreciate that. All right, so the next topic we have in line here is, let's see. I have an article here from Push Square. U.S. retail giant Best Buy will be getting rid of physical media, but not video games. So there's an original story here and an update. I'm going to read both. The original story says, as we're all gradually coming to terms with, physical media is on the way out. The video games market is slowly transitioning to digital sales, and the switch has occurred even more abruptly in other industries, where most people prefer to stream movies and music these days. Best Buy is one of the United States' largest retailers and is allegedly planning to phase out all physical media next year. The story comes courtesy of an exclusive by the Digital Bits, which specifically references DVDs and Blu-rays, but is highly likely to include some video games too. Fascinatingly, the site claims that the change will not only target its brick-and-mortar stores, but also its online arm too. Apparently, Target is also scaling down its operations in this area as well. In Associated News, Limited Run Games CEO Josh Fairhurst wrote on Twitter that he's heard rumblings about Walmart potentially dropping physical games as well. While this is unlikely to affect PlayStation, where physical media still performs adequately, it's a stark reminder that the transition to digital is really beginning to snowball now. And the update here in the article says Best Buy has confirmed it will stop selling Blu-rays and DVDs, but it's not ditching physical media entirely. The gigantic US retailer will continue to produce boxed video games moving forward and has no intention to stop just yet. This news will no doubt be welcomed by those who continue to purchase PS5 and PS4 titles at brick and mortar stores, which admittedly is a dwindling number. While industry-wise video game sales are rapidly skewing towards digital, there is still a market for physical software, and subsequently we expect the market to stick around for at least a few more years yet. So this was kind of a big deal when it was announced. A lot of people were very upset at the idea that they weren't going to be able to buy their games anymore from Best Buy. I know that Best Buy, they do sometimes like their own special what do they call, they're like the God, I'm drawing a blank on it. They don't do it's not like they're a full-blown collector's edition. It's like the Steelbook, I think they do a lot of different collector's edition or special Steelbook editions of games or like exclusives or something like that. And I saw that a lot of people were very upset that if, this was true that they were getting rid of everything, that they would no longer be able to, pre-order those and enjoy those. And so it is very reassuring, frankly, that they're not going to be getting rid of video games, because if Best Buy got rid of all physical media, including video games, to me that was going to be a really, really, really bad sign. That wow, okay, that's one of the biggest retailers in the country that still sells video games, and it just it was pretty depressing to see. But for now, I can sleep better now at night, Capono. Absolutely. I can sleep better now at night. They're not getting rid of it yet. And I have to emphasize the word yet because it seems like it maybe is a matter of time for Best Buy. But the reason why they're not getting rid of it is because there is still demand. There's enough demand that people are still going into these stores and buying physical games. And so I also have a follow-up article here from VGC where it says a Ubisoft executive, Chris Early, foresees a future where physical game sales may continue to decline, but he doesn't think they'll ever go away completely. The Assassin's Creed publisher recently agreed to acquire cloud gaming rights outside of the European Economic Area for all Activision Blizzard games released over the next 15 years. And while the company is betting on streaming, the streaming revolution revolutionizing the games industry in the same way it has transformed the TV and film businesses. Early, who was an influential figure in the negotiations for the Activision rights, thinks physical sales will always have a place. There's a collector's edition market, Ubisoft's SVP Strategic Partnerships and Business Development told the company's website. There's the aspect of gifting physical items and allowing access for people to be able to easily purchase a game in a store and gift them to their friends or family. Some people will always want to own the physical disc. I just don't think it's going away. Do I think physical sales might get lower over time? Sure, but will it ever completely go away? I don't think so. So this is something I wanted to highlight because to me, this is actually very reassuring. We have a higher up executive at one of the biggest video game publishers in the world stating that, yes, it's going to decline, but is it going to go away? No. And obviously this is just Ubisoft. I would love to hear something like this come from Sony, right? But Sony isn't really talking much about it. I think Sony actually has incentive to keep producing physical video games. You know why? Because they have PlayStation Direct. And PlayStation Direct is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. You get your stuff directly from PlayStation. And what that means for Sony is there's no middleman. Like, yeah, they have to still ship this stuff out and whatnot, but, you pay for the shipping. And Sony can basically get all of the money, all of the profit, all of the revenue by shipping this stuff out, by having, their own distribution of it. And I think that even if digital sales really start to take over, Sony could still produce physical games, sell them on PlayStation Direct, and just basically make it so that, hey, you can still get it here from us, and Sony will still be getting all of that profit, all of that revenue. But I'm thinking a little bit ahead here. I just think it's really great to hear a Ubisoft executive that's higher up say something like this, because it's, you would think that we would hear the opposite, right? Like, you would have thought that this guy would have came out and said that, yeah, it's clear we're going to go digital only eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But no, he's saying the opposite. He's saying there's always going to be something out there for physical media. And I have Anonymous Boss with a $5 super chat saying, yo, MBG, what's the secret Soulsborne game? Well, to answer that question, we're thinking it's Rise of the Ronin. It could be something else, but it seems highly likely that this secret Soulsborne game is actually Rise of the Ronin currently being play tested. And you're saying here, another thing I'm happy is that Sony's invested in the VR market. It's the future in another section of gaming. Yeah, a lot of people are viewing it that way with what Sony's doing. I think you put it correctly here when you're saying another section of gaming. I don't think VR is ever going to take over traditional gaming, right? I mean, it could in the way long term, but I don't think anybody's going to say, I'm not going to game on my PC anymore with a keyboard and mouse. I'm not going to game on my console anymore with a controller. I think that that's always going to be the primary way. But in this section of gaming, I think the VR market has a ton of potential. I do. Whether or not that potential will be fully realized by these companies, by Sony, remains to be seen. It is still a niche market, yeah, but the potential's still there, I think. Let me finish up my coffee here. John is saying next year's PlayStation's 30th anniversary, so I hope they have big plans for their fans. I would hope so, man. That's huge. 30th anniversary. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Ooh, I wonder if we'll get... I doubt it, but... Because Sony just hasn't been doing much of this stuff this generation, but getting like a special edition 30th anniversary PS5, ooh. Now that would be sick. Or even just a controller. A controller would be nice, a DualSense. For the 25th anniversary, I think Sony did a custom... Hello, Leia. Custom PS4, which looked incredible. It was like a throwback to the PS1. I would love to see them do something similar for the PS5. Gavin, you're saying there's a slight saturation with Souls games at the moment. I think you're right about that. But you know, people seem to be okay with it. Wait, hold on. You're saying it is the blue PS4 Pro. Yeah, I remember that. It was like kind of a translucent PS4 Pro. Maybe I'm getting my anniversaries mixed up here. Or, yeah, I don't know. I know there was a gray limited edition PS4 that was made, and it looked awesome. It did. It looked really good. But yeah, I want to continue to see physical media supported in gaming. I do. I mean, I don't... The big question I have is, will the PlayStation 6 support physical games? I mean, are we going to get physical disc-based PlayStation 6 games or not? I know I'm thinking a little bit ahead here, but I'm just really curious because there's all this talk about digital games, and I just feel like we have to, right? Like, we have to have physical PlayStation 6 games. I feel like it'd be crazy if we didn't. I think it would be too soon. Maybe with the PlayStation 7, that would be the generation. Yeah, I agree, Capono. Like, 2028 isn't that far away. It's not. It's a little over 4 years away. I mean, I don't imagine the physical games percentage, like the percentage of people buying physical games on PlayStation, I don't imagine that dropping to 10% or lower in that time. It could, but I feel like it's too quick. We have Tiago with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that, man. You're saying, have you discussed the new Spider-Man 2 trailer Sony just uploaded? I did. We reacted to it on the stream earlier. Within the first, I think, half hour of the stream being live, we reacted to it and I talked about it. But just to summarize my thoughts on it, I think it looks incredible, obviously. But I was saying that new launch trailer really actually got me even more excited about the game. It did. It got me even more excited to play this, and I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think my hype for this game could get any higher. But yeah, man. It's a great trailer. Really, really good trailer. I really like the shots of Venom. You can't stop watching the trailer. Yeah, I'll probably have to watch it again later on. Sony knows what they're doing, man. They do when it comes to hyping up their games. So, Tiago, hopefully that answers your question, man. And I really appreciate the super chat, buddy. I would recommend... Devil Shooter's got your back. He says, go to the 19-minute mark after the stream starts. So around the 19-minute mark, apparently that's when we reacted to it. So thank you for that, Devil. Man, Devil, he's on top. He's on top of it, man. All right, let's see here. So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see throughout the remainder of this generation what happens with physical disc-based games and how many more publishers decide to go digital only. I really hope publishers don't, continue with this trend. Not many are doing it, but I just don't want to see more and more publishers decide, you know what, we're going to just release the game digitally. I think they're blowing an opportunity by doing that. I do. I think the market of people who want to buy physical games is still big enough that if you decide not to release your game physically, I think you are potentially hurting the sales of your game. I do. I really do. Could be wrong in that, but that's what I'm thinking. All right, so I want to move on to the next topic here, and this talks about PlayStation's plans in the PC space. So a new job listing has been discovered. It was posted 2 days ago. PC planning analyst for PlayStation. It says here in a role overview as the PC planning and analysis. Yeah, as the PC planning and analysis, you will play a pivotal role in driving sales success and shaping strategy for PlayStation's fast-growing PC business. Reporting to the senior manager, PC planning and analysis and working in partnership across the PC team, channel digital sales, and GSBO. You will provide forecasts, insights, and analysis to drive growth for the PlayStation PC business. You will leverage your expertise in sales forecasting, financial modeling, data visualization, and market analysis to identify growth opportunities, optimize pricing and promotion strategies, and provide valuable insights to key stakeholders. This is an exciting opportunity to contribute to PlayStation's continued success in the PC business. So, yeah, this is a newly posted job listing for PlayStation, and it seems to indicate that they are getting ready to get even more serious about their pursuit of PC and what they're doing. And they make it pretty clear here that they want to drive growth, which shouldn't be surprising. But, we're seeing the Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition. That was announced, and they made it clear it's coming to PC early next year. Nixxes, yeah, it's a dedicated PC port studio, has been doing really good work. Day and date incoming. I wouldn't be so sure. It could happen. Yeah, I'm not completely sold on that happening anytime soon, though, because to me, what we really need to figure out is we need to just figure out how frequently Sony plans to release their multiplayer games day one onto PC. And I feel like we kind of have our answer, but we really have to wait until these games actually start releasing. And over the course of the generation, it seems like day and date is a guarantee for multiplayer games underneath Sony for PC. I do believe, though, and I'm not saying this because I would have a problem with it. It would be quite surprising, of course, but I really don't think Sony's going to go away from the 2 to 3 year cycle with their single player games. Mike Brown, you're saying stop it, MBG. You know what will happen. But that's the thing. I don't know. I think people are projecting a little bit here. I think people see Microsoft doing that and they just want to believe that Sony's going to do that too. And I think, what I think would happen? I think Sony would take one of their games in the future and do a test run. They would just do a test run. This PlayStation single player game, we're going to release on PC and PS5 at the same time, and we're going to see what happens. And we're going to calculate the data, and we're going to analyze it and determine if we should do this again. I think they might do that but another reason why they might not do that, though, is because what they're doing now, and I think people failed to realize this, what Sony's doing now in the PC space is working for them. It's working for them. Like, they're making more money off of these games. Not every game, of course. They have their flops like Sackboy and whatnot. But releasing God of War, releasing Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ratchet and Clank, and now Horizon Forbidden West, like, it's working for them. They're making pretty good money off of these games, even coming years after the fact. Could they make more money if they release it day one? Probably, yeah. I think that's a safe assumption, but I guess I'm just saying, if you look at it from Sony's perspective, they're probably just fine doing it this way. Like, I don't think there's anything pushing them, telling them like, man, we really need to start doing this. I think that, if anything, again, look at God of War Ragnarok, right? That game set a new record for PlayStation Studios sales on console, and it was only on the PS4 and PS5. It didn't release on PC. I just don't think that they're feeling the pressure. If their sales start to dip, like, I'll tell you what, I don't think this is going to happen. I think there's no chance this happens, but just as a hypothetical, imagine Spider-Man doesn't sell as well as they thought. I guarantee you they'll get that on PC much quicker. But that's the thing, man. I don't, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think Sony's worried. I think they're like, yeah, it's going to sell great. It is. I think that this is just the pattern that Sony had, or not the pattern, but the method that they chose to go with. Multiplayer games, day one on PC. Because they're multiplayer games, we need a bigger pool of players, and there's probably going to be crossplay. Single player games, we use them to sell, to sell consoles. You're saying why hire someone if that's not the future plan? I think because again, just because single player games won't be going day one on the PC doesn't mean PlayStation Studios games won't be. Sony has like 10 multiplayer games that are going to release in the coming years, and they're all going to launch day one onto PC, or seemingly all of them. So they're still going to need somebody to run this shit and make sure that they know what they're doing, Although, again, I could be wrong. We won't know until we get there. But right now, Jim Ryan says we're doing just fine 2 or 3 years with single player games, and Herman Hulse says we're going to do day one releases with multiplayer games. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it all plays out. Capono says, "Thank you, Sony, for the bangers." I mean, I don't think Sony is. I'm sure they're happy too, man. They're just raking in more money from games that already made their money. Really, You're saying Nintendo has never released one of their games on PC. Why does Sony need to do it? Well, this is, I think, where you see a big difference between the philosophy behind Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo makes it abundantly clear that they're not going to chase this horizontal growth, maybe except... even that's not true, though. It's hard to explain, man, because Nintendo just straight up has the attitude like, our stuff is ours. Period. That's it. There's no bending. There's no exceptions. It's just, that's the way it is. That's what we do. And that's what we will always do. Sony was like that for like 4 generations. And for some reason with the PS5, they just decided no more. I don't know why. I don't know exactly what changed. I mean, the only thing that did change is Microsoft, and this is why I talked earlier why I get worried about Sony actually chasing Microsoft. The only thing that changed is Microsoft made that decision last generation. And it seems to me that somebody at Sony, maybe it was Jim Ryan, maybe it's a couple of individuals, they saw what Microsoft did and they decided that that's pretty smart. We should do that too, in a different way. And so it's just like, what Sony is doing, it is clear that Sony is not chasing Nintendo. And I'm not saying that they should chase Nintendo, because it's like, they don't need to, but I don't know, man. Sony has big ambition. To me, that's the difference between Sony and Nintendo. And I don't mean that as a slight to Nintendo. I actually think it's a good thing. Nintendo has ambition, but they're not, from what I can tell, Nintendo seems to be content just saying, this is enough. And it's going to grow. It is growing, but we don't need monumental growth. Like the growth we've experienced over all these years and the success we're finding is enough. And we'll just keep rolling with that. Like there doesn't seem to be this major ambition at Nintendo where they're like, this just isn't enough. We need to take it further. With Microsoft and with Sony, it's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite. Devil Shear says, I mean, it only destroyed the Xbox brand. All is good, though. You know what? I mean, Devil, I don't know if you're referring to, the transition to PC or them embracing PC. I don't think that was actually it, believe it or not. You know what's weird to me about Sony? Frankly, and I'm not trying to be overly critical of Sony because I don't even know if this is being critical, but I think it's strange. To me, what's strange about Sony starting from the beginning of the PlayStation 5 generation to now is like, and Devil, you kind of got me thinking about this because you're saying, Devil, that Microsoft basically embracing PC and going day one on PC destroyed it, right? And I don't know if that's true, but I know why Microsoft did that. And I think most people know exactly why Microsoft did that. Microsoft did that because they had to. I mean, they literally had to. They were on the ropes. They were drowning. It was over because of how poorly the Xbox One reveal went and the rollout went. And so they were like, we have to find it. We got to do anything right now to recoup some of these costs, to make money, to just have some area of growth to show the investors. So they had to do it. And it's the same reason why they ended up going with Game Pass. What's bizarre to me about Sony is Sony is not in that position at all. Like Sony is, and this is why I get frustrated, because it's like, Sony, you don't need to do any of this. And the reason you're doing it is because you just want more. And I just can't, I don't vibe with that mentality of it's never enough. Like, it just always brings me back to that quote from Jim Ryan where he was like, I would love for hundreds of millions of people to play these games. And it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, of course. But I don't know. I guess it just, I think if anything, maybe this is the fundamental difference. Maybe Nintendo believes there is further growth to be had in the traditional console space. It's either that or they're just okay hitting that ceiling. To whereas Sony has decided that they're either A, not okay hitting that ceiling, or B, they just don't believe that there is, or I guess it's kind of, they're kind of the same thing at that point. They just don't believe that there is further growth in the console space. Not good enough growth. Jay, you're saying exactly. They realize they can make more, they can get more out of these IPs. Yeah, I mean, I get it. From a business standpoint, I do. If you can extract more from it, why not? But I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of like milking like the shit out of something and really just kind of getting every single drop out of it you can. That's very business, by the books in a way, or very. I'm just it doesn't sit well with me, and that's why people are kind of getting frustrated with Sony. We talked about this last stream, but I guess it's relevant to the conversation where it's like, oh, do we need another Last of Us remastered? Do we need the Horizon Zero Dawn remastered? But I think if Sony can just come out and start showing some new stuff next year, which I think they will, if they start showing some new stuff, some new exciting stuff, I think people will kind of be totally okay with a lot of these things that Sony's doing. I just think there's a hyper focus on it right now because, again, there's not much of a roadmap. It's only for new consumers. Yeah, I just, Sony, I think it, what I think it is? I think it comes from the higher ups at Sony, like Kenichiro Yoshida, the CEO of Sony, Hiroki Totoki, the president and CFO. I think these guys are, Hiroki Totoki straight up said, like, he's obsessed with growth. Like, they just want to grow and grow and expand and expand and expand. And I understand that, but to me, that's just not been very relevant to me personally. Or it's like, I don't really care how widespread and well-known the PlayStation brand is. I mean, it's great if it's really well-known and they're doing all these things, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of, like, we got to be everywhere in front of everybody's face. And in a way, I guess Nintendo does have that, right? In a way, Nintendo, even though Nintendo can say, like, we're not gonna put our games on PC. Like, we're just gonna focus on our console and our games, and that's that. But at the same time, like Nintendo does have that with some of their IP, like Mario. They do have that. Like they have that just ultra wide reaching, just everyone knows Mario, and Sony kind of doesn't have that. Sony doesn't have the equivalent of Mario, and neither does Microsoft. The closest thing that Microsoft may have is Master Chief, but even that has, I feel like that's dwindled over the years. And so, I don't know. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Maybe that is why Sony or Nintendo is like, yeah, we don't have to do that. I don't know. Omen with another super chat here, which I appreciate, bud. You're saying they need profit growth so they can keep funding the growing costs, making AAA single player epics like they always did. P.S. Jim will retire smiling. I'm sure he is. Yeah. I mean, again, he made his money and he left his mark and he made Sony their money. So yeah, I'm not opposed to Sony wanting to be profitable. Of course not. And wanting their business to be healthy and grow and be successful. The only thing I worry about, and I worry about this because it's definitely something that's very prevalent in the business world, is just insatiable greed. You know, where it's like, again, there's a difference between I would like more, so everybody wants more. There's nothing wrong with more. But I think there's something wrong with, you know, sometimes the way you're going about getting more and how you know, people become so obsessed with like, I need all of this. And just what this is, it's not enough. We need all of this and we need it now. And I just feel like these executives sometimes, they're so driven by, you know, I mean, that's what Microsoft is doing right now. You know, there's a reason why Phil's so happy. It's because, like, dude, Phil said we can have it all. We can have it all. And he did, frankly, he pulled off something that just seemed impossible. And Microsoft went from being third place, worst generation ever for them, that practically killed the brand, to now, within almost a decade, within 10 years since Phil Spencer took over, now we own Activision Blizzard and Bethesda, and people love Game Pass. And that's it. In their eyes, they won. I mean, them getting Activision Blizzard was truly like how did you pull that off? And I understand why, like, people are happy about it. Where, like, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you should be happy because it's like, yeah, you're gonna get a fuck ton more games now. I'm not a Game Pass subscriber, and I don't care that much about Activision Blizzard. I mean, maybe there's some games in the future if they bring back Guitar Hero. We'll see what they do with Crash and Spyro, although I haven't really been into them since I was, you know, playing on the PS1 days. From my perspective, it's just like, shit, man. It's crazy out there. Like, I think that's what I basically end up coming back down to, is like these are business executives, man, and they are cutthroat. And this is simply about, how do we win? How do we win? And that, I don't know, that's why I'm worried about what Sony's going to end up doing, because Sony, while they're winning now, of course it could change, but this Sony cannot win in the same way that Microsoft is. They just can't. They can't do it. It's not a possibility for them. And I know that there are some people that want to believe that Sony can win that way. Maybe Sony themselves believe they can. You know, I mean, Willie Magalore, he stopped in here a couple times and he was saying like, oh, I'm in all the calls with Sony and Hiroki Totoki. He's making it clear he doesn't want to get left behind. He's okay with the consolidation, and they're going to set more and more money aside to buy. And I'm just like, Sony, I don't know that this is the way, man. Like, you're not going to outspend Microsoft. You're not going to compete with Amazon. And you know how you compete with Amazon? You know how you give a killing blow? Not a killing blow, but that's an exaggeration. Not a killing blow, but you know how you you kind of get a nice hit in there with to Microsoft, even though they're a lot bigger now with Activision. Release a great fucking game. Like, release a game that you know they can't make. Do that. Keep doing that. Release games that you know Amazon can't make, that you know Netflix can't make, that you know Google can't make, that you know Facebook can't make. Do that. Do that. And just keep doing it. And keep investing more and more into that. That, to me, in my opinion, that's how Sony not just survives, but still remains a driving force in the video game industry. Yeah, it's coming Friday. No, I know. I'm not saying it's going to stop. I'm just saying I just don't know. I just don't know that Sony basically being like, okay, we're going to buy a publisher now. I don't know how that... I guess I'm just trying to say, I don't know how that meshes with the way Sony does things. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what that means. Maybe it just doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's just, yeah, these games now just have the PlayStation Studios logos on them. Like, if they were to buy, I don't think they're going to. I don't think Capcom will sell. But if they like bought Capcom, it's like, oh yeah, like the next Monster Hunter games and Resident Evil games, you got they're owned by PlayStation now, PlayStation Studios. Maybe some of them go exclusive. I mean, that would be huge. Like, obviously, PlayStation fans would lose their minds, be like, oh my God, the next Resident Evil is exclusive. Yeah, of course. Monster Hunter, whatever. But it's like, they're not Sony games. They're not Sony games. They're not. They're Capcom games. They are Capcom games. So that's why I'm trying to say, like, I don't know that I could be excited for that. And that's why I'm not... I do worry if Sony buys a publisher, like, they're going to come out and they're going to be like, we locked down Capcom. All future games from them are going to be PlayStation exclusive. Like, that would be like a straight up, like, holy fuck, they are taking it to Microsoft now. Like, they just took that page right out of Microsoft's book. But as a PlayStation player, it's like, I was going to get these games anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, wait, hold on. And you know what listen, I know people think that I was bullshitting when I said this about Microsoft. I was not bullshitting. When I said that, dude, imagine what Microsoft could fucking do if they took this $68 billion, if they just took $5 billion of it, $5 billion, a fraction, and instead let's invest this in growing our studios, in growing talent, and cultivating, like, making our own shit. Imagine $5 billion invested into that. I know it's risky. I know from a business standpoint for Microsoft that maybe doesn't make sense, but I can't help that feeling. Like, that's what I would want Sony to do. Sony, I get it. Like, maybe you're going to take $8 billion and buy a publisher. I get it. Like, I would understand why they would do that. I wouldn't be happy about it. I would understand that you had to do what you had to do. It's business. But I would just be sitting here thinking, like, dude, what if Sony took like $3 billion of that dollars and just fucking poured that into their current studios or into the funding of new games or built a new studio? Now that would be fucking exciting to me. That would be genuinely exciting, because that to me would be Sony doing what no one else can. Or if they did do that, you know, it's not going to be the same. Like, that's PlayStation kind of putting their touch on it. Like, we're going to lean more into what we do, not what this publisher does, what we do. That's what I would like to see. And so now that Microsoft has successfully pushed this deal through, there's a genuine concern from me where, you know, I think Sony is going to start to feel like, I mean, Hiroki Totoki said himself, like, we don't want to get left behind. Like, dude, you're not going to, how can you get left behind? What, you're not going to make as much revenue as the guy out, as the other guys out there buying fucking some of the biggest publishers in the industry? Okay, maybe for your investors that sucks, but why does that mean? Like, why does that mean you can't still win in your own way? You know, That's all I'm saying. I just am very worried about how Sony may respond to this. And I see it out there with fans where they're like, Sony's got to go, they got to go buy their publisher. And there are people hoping Sony does. And I get it. Believe me, I understand what that's going to mean for the PlayStation side of things. If Sony does that, like, oh my God, Sony ain't fucking around either. I get it. But when we're really getting down to the nitty gritty of it, like, I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but do you know why I play on PlayStation? I play on PlayStation because of the shit that Sony brings to the table that's theirs. That's theirs. Shit like The Last of Us. Shit like God of War. Right? Like Ghost of Tsushima. They didn't buy that from someone. They made that. They fucking made that. That's why I'm here. Like, is it nice to get games that are third-party exclusive sometimes? Yeah, sure. It's like a bonus. Oh, hey, Final Fantasy is exclusive. Go enjoy it. Like, sure. Sure, I preach. Thanks, Sony. You make me feel like this is, I'm getting a little bit more here. I'm getting these bonuses. That's great. But that's the shit that's why I'm here. That's why I came back to PlayStation. Not because Sony said, we just bought this shit over here and made it ours. And I'm not necessarily going to feel excited if Sony decides we're going to buy this shit and make it ours. So please be excited. It's like, well, we'll have bragging rights, of course, just like Microsoft does now. And we'll be able to be like, oh, Sony, we can now talk. It's not going to be about the console wars anymore. It's going to be about the consolidation wars. And it's like, that fucking blows. At least the console wars were driven by like exclusive games from that were driven. Like these consoles were driven by games that were made by studios where there had to be originality. To some degree, there had to be some type of fucking originality. And to me, this is what I think is kind of sad about how aggressive the consolidation is becoming in the industry, because it's like the more focused consolidation becomes, the less original things are going to become, because it's going to be more of a hyper focus on like, okay, well, we got to get what already is. Because if we don't get what already is, we might lose what already is. And that's why it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I get it, I guess. You don't want to lose what already is there. Of course. But it really brings us back to that conversation about Call of Duty. Like, oh, look at Sony, losing it over Call of Duty and whatnot, and how pathetic and how sad. And it's like, well, It does look pathetic and it does look sad, but you can kind of see the business reality of it is, wow, it turns out they do make a fuck ton of their money from this game. And to me, that's what's sad, is Sony, that's not your game. That's not your game. You didn't make Call of Duty. You make money off of Call of Duty and they make money off of you, but that's not your game. And that's where I would just love to see Sony get dead fucking serious and be willing to take the losses where it happens sometimes. Maybe sometimes you put out a dud. It didn't work. Try again. Right? I would love to see Sony come out and say, okay, we can't buy publishers and we won't buy publishers. But you know what? We're going to lose games and that's just how it's going to be. There's nothing we can do about it. Publishers are going to get purchased. They are being purchased, and we're going to lose games. But you know what? We will find a way. We will make our own games. We'll obviously still have third-party games. Not every publisher is going to get purchased. But that's what I would want to see, frankly. And, I'm open to the conversations, of course. If Sony does go big and they say, we are fucking buying a publisher, we are taking it to Microsoft's fucking doorstep, fine. They want to go to war with Microsoft? Fine. I'll be along for that ride, but that would be much more disappointing to me than if they turned around and said, you know what, Microsoft, we're bowing out. We can't buy publishers like Activision Blizzard, and we won't buy publishers like Activision Blizzard, even if we could, because we're not playing that type of game here. We're going to just do our own thing. I don't know that that's what'll happen, but you're saying they'll lose big time. But that's the question I have. What exactly is Sony? What I need to try to understand, and Doolin, I'll read your super chat. I have a couple super chats. I'll read them in just a moment. I just want to make sure I get this thought across. My question is, like, what is the competition factor here? What is the competitive factor here? Exactly, between Sony and Microsoft now. Because it's not the console. And it's not the subscription service. Because Sony is not doing, like I said earlier, what Microsoft is doing with the subscription service. So what is the competitive content? Okay. Well, then I stand, if that's true, then I stand by what I said. If it's content, then Sony, do what you do best. You can't outspend them, so don't even try. Outdevelop them. Do that. Active users, yeah, I think that too. I guess they go hand in hand, right? Like the content is what drives the users and the engagement. Not all content is the same. Well, it'll be very fascinating. I think in a way, what I'm describing, we are kind of seeing Sony do with their live service games. I think we're kind of seeing that. Whether it'll work, I don't know. You're saying they're already out here developing them. Sony is now saying, what else can we do? Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, I that's a good angle. That's a good angle. I just, there's just a lot of conversation, a lot of discourse online right now where you're saying it's not that easy. I mean, you're right, but is anything worth having easy to obtain? The answer is no. All right, let's see. Fabrice. All right, so I have 2 super chats from Fabrice, and I have 2 from Dolan Jones. So I'll read both back to back. I'll start with Fabrice. He says, Starfield, Forza, and Surface Hardware, new AI technologies, buying ABK by fighting everybody in the world, and be on top. Microsoft is killing it. I want a movie about the ABK deal on Netflix. Dude, that would be great. Oh my God, that would be incredible. Dude, they totally should. Yes, Netflix needs that original content too. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I see where your enthusiasm is coming from, Fabrice, because I think a lot of people share your enthusiasm. I do. I think a lot of people are feeling good about Starfield. They're feeling good about, well, I think they're feeling good about Forza. I don't know. I've been seeing some weird mixed things coming out about Forza, but it is what it is. You're saying Surface Hardware, AI technologies. You're saying Microsoft fighting everybody for ABK. I mean, look, from a consumer angle, yes. From a consumer angle, I can understand your enthusiasm. I don't share in it, but I understand it. And I don't condemn anybody. I don't. If you're just saying, hey, I'm a gamer, I'm subscribed to Game Pass and I want more games and I'm happy about this, I do not condemn you at all. You're a consumer. I'm a consumer as well, but I'm entrenched deeper in analyzing the gaming industry, and I don't have I obviously had a problem with Microsoft doing what they're doing, but at some point it just became clear, like, this is going to happen, man. Like, regardless of how I feel about it, like, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, it doesn't matter. Like, they have the money. This is a business world, and they're going to buy, and they're going to push it through. I just don't share in the excitement. I don't. I don't share in this excitement that all these games that were already available, many of them for many years, Now, hey, we own them, and we're gonna get the credit for them now. And I guess like from the Game Pass perspective, that's where I can understand if you're excited for them to go into Game Pass, that's fine. I'm not subscribed to Game Pass. I don't care about it. Like it just, I guess what I'm trying to say is like it means nothing to me at this point. Earlier on, it meant something because it's like, well, is this going to happen or not? So the implications were through the roof. This is what it's probably going to happen if it does happen. This is probably what's going to happen if it doesn't happen. And there's just everything in between, but it's over now. Like it happened. It's done. And so now I have to take a step back and ask myself, okay, well, what does it mean to me? It doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to go buy an Xbox. I'm not going to subscribe to Game Pass. Like I don't care about almost any of these games. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I cared about the last Crash Bandicoot. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, oh my God, Spyro. Like, dude, I haven't played Spyro since the PS1 days. That's just me. I know that people do care, and I'm not speaking for them. I'm just speaking for me. Now, Guitar Hero, that's another case. That's another story entirely. And maybe Tony Hawk games. But generally speaking, it's just like the only thing that I'm thinking about now is, okay, what happens next for Sony? Because that's what's going to matter to me. And that's the only question that we have left to answer. Ricardo, you're saying I just hate? Yes, I know. I'm hating so much on Microsoft right now, aren't I? I'm literally saying that I would be excited for them to bring back Guitar Hero, but my hate knows no bounds, clearly. I just want to know what Sony's next move is going to be. That's all I want to know, because where we stand now is it's either going to be one of two things. It's either going to be Sony isn't going to make a big move. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing and slowly build on that. Or they are going to make a big move. And if they do make a big move, it's going to have massive implications, just like Microsoft's big moves have. And so, Fabrice, I think now is a good time, frankly, for Xbox fans to be excited. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? If you're invested in the Xbox ecosystem, you're getting a lot more now from Xbox than you ever have. Granted, it's stuff that already exists. It's stuff that I've seen a lot of people talk about how they're hoping Microsoft will bring this back and bring that back, and so there is that kind of hope. Like, yeah, they could do that, and I would love to see that too. I think that would be good, frankly. It would be a good thing if Microsoft said, you know what, we have this insane breadth of IP that we can do anything with. I don't know what that'll mean, though, for like the Call of Duty cycle, because almost every Activision developer is now a Call of Duty studio. It'll be interesting to see if Microsoft undoes that. I doubt they will. Because people need to understand that Call of Duty is a well-oiled machine that requires like every one of these studios. Like Activision didn't just take all of their studios and put them on Call of Duty for the fuck of it. They did it because they had to keep that machine well-oiled and running smoothly. So this idea that Microsoft is just going to undo that, not basically, and say, we're going to just, we're going to take this studio and we're going to put them over there working on this. They could, but there's every chance that your yearly Call of Duty cycle might be negatively impacted. So I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see. But like I said, Fabrice, I think now is a good time for Microsoft fans to be excited and happy, because honestly, I think everybody should be happy that this is finally over. And of course, we've had our conversations in the past, and I would sit here and say like, hey, what Microsoft did is garbage and blah, blah, but it doesn't matter. Like it's over. It doesn't matter. It's over. So now the only thing we can focus on is what happens next. What happens next for both Sony and Microsoft? I think that's a question that's on everybody's mind. That's a question that's on my mind. And Doolin Jones, I'm going to read your super chats now. Before I do, we have Jake Skew 27. Jake Skew 27 keeping this membership train going strong today. gifting a membership. Jake, thank
you.
you so much, my
Appreciate
friend. Let's get some W's in the chat for Jake. He gifts a membership. He brings us up to 19 members on the day, which I very much appreciate. Appreciate all you guys. Anybody who's donating super chats, anybody who is gifting memberships or re-upping their memberships. Very much appreciated. You're saying ABK will crumble over time? I mean, only time will tell. Dolan Jones, thank you for the generous super chats, my friend. You're saying here in 30 days' time, PlayStation Portal will be a sleeper hit no one's expecting. I can't wait. Selling really well so far. Credit to the PlayStation hardware team. Some of the most striking, bold, and most importantly, innovative hardware the PlayStation ecosystem has ever seen. And then you say here, my final super chat, I'm going to say this loud, PlayStation Portal will 100% get an update for PlayStation Cloud games after launch soon. That will be a big W. We'll have to see, man. I mean, the PlayStation Portal hype is real with Dolan Jones, and I know a lot of people are actually very excited for this thing. It could. I mean, it's sitting right there. This cloud update, you can now stream PS5 games from the cloud if you're a premium member. It's a possibility, dude. It certainly is, and I could see it happening. But what you're pointing out here is that Sony has invested a massive amount of resource management and development into PlayStation hardware this year. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we got the PSVR 2, we're getting the PlayStation Portal, we got the DualSense Edge, we're getting earbuds, we're getting a new premium headset. I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting. I mean, it's some people would say maybe it's too much hardware. But it's crazy, it's crazy, and it's actually kind of cool to see because I feel like for the longest time, Sony really wasn't doing a whole lot with new PlayStation hardware. And we also have the PS5 Slim, of course. I like it. I kind of like it. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I do think it does run the risk of definitely becoming redundant. For example, like we have a new headset and we got the Pulse headset, but it's like, well, it's been almost 3 years. Maybe it's not that redundant, right? What I think is kind of strange is we're getting the PlayStation earbuds, which I think are very cool and I want them. But I just noticed that Sony's InZone brand is releasing this month a pair of earbuds that look very similar, except instead of the PlayStation logo on it, it has a Sony logo on it, but you can get them in white. Like they look like they were made for the PS5. And I'm like, well, that to me is where it seems a bit overly redundant. But generally speaking, I like what Sony's doing with the hardware. I got the DualSense Edge. I think it's an incredible controller. And I'm happy about it, man. Like I don't really have a problem with this. As long as it's not taking away from anything else like game development, which it's not. It's its whole separate thing. The hardware development side is completely separate from the software. I'm fine with it. I have no problem with it. So Dolan Jones, appreciate the passion, man. You're clearly very excited about the PlayStation Portal. So I hope it lives up. I hope it lives up to your expectations. We have Omen86 again saying with the ABK deal, Microsoft entered the Disney death spiral, push out shovelware to feed the content-eating monster. Quality will degrade. It's inevitable. Omen, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? You're speaking on this as if you know, as if we have seen this happen, as if this has occurred. I mean, it's not like if you look right now at the TV and movie industry, what's happening with services, because God knows there's a lot of them and they're all fighting for the same thing. It's not like things are spiraling. It's not like things are, going off the rails and not working, right? It's all great. It's not like there's a strike right now where writers, the people who create these shows, the people who are putting together these shows and these movies, it's not like they're fighting against this because it's just turns out that it's not working. Oh, it's not like these writers are saying we would like 2%, not 1, but 2% of the total streaming revenue. And these companies are saying we can't give you 2% of that because that's too much. Now, why would 2% of your revenue be too much to give to the writers, probably because you're not making a lot of money or anywhere near enough money on your streaming services. But no, Omen, you are wrong. That is not what we talk about, okay? We are consumers, and we are excited that we will now be able to play all of these games that we already had access to, and we're going to have access to now on our subscription service, okay? The quality is not going to degrade. You're just a fanboy. Everybody who says that is just a fanboy. Don't you know that? If you even question the future of what's going to happen in the gaming industry with subscription services and entire entities, entire publishers being bought up, you are a fanboy, you are salty, you are sad, and you are scared, okay? Because everything is fine. Microsoft told me so. Just look at what's happening. It's all going to be fine. Okay, Omen? Dude, I feel like my fear as I'm saying all this is that Omen is sitting there being like, damn, bro. What do you mean? No, but I'm just I thought MBG was legit warring with the chat. No, I'm just fucking around, man. Like, I'm just simply saying that. I'm just simply pointing out that, look, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Omen, you're taking the stance of we're going to see what's happening with Disney, the death spiral. They're going to keep pushing out content. The quality will degrade. It's a possibility. I think people are actually kind of insane. I do. I think there's something wrong with people that we're literally witnessing what's happening with subscription services in other industries, and it's not good. It's not good. Like, good things are not happening with these subscription services. They're kind of falling apart. They're slowly but surely eroding and falling apart for multiple reasons. It's not as simple as the quality is dropping. There are multiple factors. And these publishers and the people, these companies that own these subscription services, they are scrambling to figure it out, to get it to fucking work. But yet people are witnessing this and they're just like, you know what? This is the future. This is definitely the future. And it's like, where are you getting that from? What is occurring right now to convince you that this is the future and not a big mistake? Because right now, shit's hitting the fan. Like, it's legitimately hitting the fan, and people are just like, yeah, this is it, man. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just saying it's like, be reasonable about it. Be realistic and accept that nothing is as clear as we want to believe it is on either side. So if anybody's going to clip me, I hope you clip this part as well. We don't know where the subscription service lies or where it ends. We don't know how it's all going to play out in gaming. We don't even know how it's going to play out in other industries right now. It's still too early. And we also don't know how sticking to the traditional business model is going to play out. There's just too much unknown. But what we are seeing is certain patterns begin to emerge. And those patterns, they seem to indicate that if you create something of high quality and you sell it at a premium price, it will do well as long as it's not oversaturated. And obviously there's that fear, right? Where it's like, are things going to become oversaturated? Are too many developers going to be getting overly ambitious and their games are going to become, we're going to put too much, we're going to be putting too much money into these games and it's going to be just a big question mark if we make money back. What about all the other publishers doing the same thing? Of course, this is why I'm saying it's still an unknown. But this has kind of been proven where that way still works. It does. It's what's driving the industry in 2023. Big AAA hits, quality games that people are excited to play, that they pay full price for. That's what's driving the industry in 2023. So you can kind of, I think it's reasonable to look at that and say, well, maybe it is kind of understandable. Maybe it is kind of understandable that some people are going to look at that and say, maybe this is just the way to go. maybe the other way, which is the whole subscription route. I mean, look, I know it's not always bad for the consumer, but it can be. It can be just like anything else if the quality degrades, if the prices got to start going up rapidly, right? I mean, for God, man, Netflix just announced again they're putting the price up. They're raising the price. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, the only thing that's making me do is I think I'm just going to unsubscribe because, like, Netflix, I like some of the stuff you put out, but this shit is becoming very much not worth it. But they have to. Like, they have to. That's the thing. They have to make it work. And it's just, listen, man, all I'm trying to say here is that things are never as complicated as they may seem sometimes. Or even all the time. I mean, I say never and then I say sometimes. That's an oxymoron, but it's not as complicated as it seems to be. There's always a price to be paid. And I just think that people need to be wise enough and understanding enough to know, to just to realize that there's always a price to be paid. So if you get something at a good deal, you always have to ask why. Who's paying for this? Because if it's not you, someone is. Someone somewhere is. And I just think it's frankly batshit insane that people are willing to look at certain companies and say, oh, well, they're covering it. They got it. They don't mind. And they just embrace that like it's just, yeah, that's there's nothing's going to come back around on that one. Certainly not. It's just going to stay that way. Like, no, man, it's just, look, it's not complicated. There are two different ways you can get somebody in the door. All right. The first way, lower the barrier, lower the price, get people, make it easy for people to get in and then try to win them over and keep them there. Okay. That's way number one. Way number two, catch their attention, demand their attention, create something that looks so exciting and so good that they're going to walk over and they're going to want to ask to get in. That's it. It's that simple. And both ways have proven over time that they can be volatile and they can implode. They can not work. So I don't know, Omen. The reality is, I mean, place your bets, right? Do you think that Microsoft owning Activision Blizzard is going to be, as you say here, like a death spiral and the quality is going to degrade? Or do you think it's going to work out just fine and things will actually be good? Place your bets. Because we don't know. You know what I do know? Bobby Kodak's out. Bobby Kotick is out. At the end of this year, he's gone. It's crazy to me. It's not crazy, but it's interesting to me to think that I understand a lot of people are very happy to see Bobby Kotick go. I am too. I think this is a good thing. But I think what people refuse to want to see, because it's just the truth and the reality, is that he has been the CEO of Activision for like over 30 years. He was the one who brought, Activision was almost gone, dude. He not only brought them back, but he made them one of the strongest, most successful publishers in the entire industry, in the world. He's the one that made it so that whoever wanted to buy them, they're going to have to pay $68 billion to do so. I agree, he has to go. He sounds like not a great person, like not a great person at all. He actually sounds like a pretty terrible person. But I've tried to explain to people in the past that like you can be a pretty terrible person and still be very good at your job. In fact, you can be very talented at your job and still be a bad person. And in fact, a lot of successful business people are just that. They're horrible people with an incredible amount of skill, and they know it. And the business world knows it. And that's why they're protected for so long. That's why they're allowed to get away with it for so long, because it turns out that the promise of I can make you rich means more to the average person than you seem unethical. Yeah, that's the business world for you. Now, it's good that Microsoft is doing the right thing, certainly, and saying, you got to go. I mean, could you just imagine? Could you just imagine the PR nightmare that Microsoft would have to endure if they actually said you're going to stay on? Yeah, psychopaths and sociopaths, you're right, they do well in business. But man, it would be a PR nightmare. What I'm trying to explain here is that it's not going to be easy at all for Microsoft to find a viable replacement for Bobby Kotick. That's what I'm trying to say. Bobby Kotick, whether you like it or not, he is the mastermind behind Activision's success. Not Phil Spencer, not Matt Booty, not Satya Nadella, not Jim Ryan, no, Bobby Kotick. And so if I would love to be a fly on the wall at Microsoft to know what their plan is. Because, dude, I can't even imagine. You're saying now this will be the narrative. No. See, this is where people need to, what fucking narrative are you talking about? You're making shit up at this point. People want to get upset for the sake of getting upset because I'm a PlayStation person saying this. If this was a fucking Xbox guy saying this, you'd be like, yeah, wow, oh, yeah, that's really great insight. Listen, the reality is as simple as, just like we fucking talked about, like people are celebrating Jim Ryan going, Sony needs to fucking worry about who are you going to replace, because he was fucking good at his job. He was horrible at communication and pissed fans off a lot and got made fun of. But he was good at his job. We have to question, who is Sony going to get to replace him? And are they going to do anywhere near as good of a job? It's not easy. What I'm saying, and what I was about to say, is that, dude, Microsoft, I feel fucking sorry for Phil Spencer right now. Because, I mean, yes, he got his big win, but dude, now now comes the hard part, bro. You fucking run this shit. Not Bobby Kotick, you and Matt Booty, you and Aaron Greenberg, the guys who fucking destroyed Halo's reputation and ran 343 Industries. You guys run this shit now. This is not the same as Bethesda. Todd Howard stayed. Pete Hines stayed. And they run that shit. Bobby Kotick isn't staying. And you better believe a lot of people underneath Bobby Kotick, they're cashing out too. They are cashing out too. Yes, buying was the easy part. Now, that's the thing. It reminds me of, I watched this video. I'm not into UFC, but I came across this video, and it was like this video where it's like the most overhyped, like the biggest hype trains that got derailed. And the beginning of the video, what they were saying was really interesting to me, because they're like, it's really easy to like pump something up and hype something up, but to actually deliver on it when the time comes is a whole nother story. And I feel like this is just kind of reminding me of this, because it's like, that's exactly what this is. This is a hype train moment where you fucking endured for 2 years. You won, you pushed through, you got what you wanted. Celebrate. Yes, celebrate that. That is a win. And fans are excited because we're going to get these games in the Game Pass. But the question is, are you going to deliver? because you're not going to have Bobby Kotick anymore. There are going to be layoffs, and there are going to be vital people in vital positions that leave from development, from management all the way down to development. And it's going to be Microsoft's responsibility. It's going to be Microsoft's responsibility to figure out, like, look, when those pieces of the puzzle are gone, you got to find those pieces and make sure they fit. Because if not, this is, I mean, Activision Blizzard, like I said, they are a very well-oiled machine. It's a machine that's been over, at least for Call of Duty, 20 years in the making. Blizzard has had their fair share of issues. They still have their issues. And Call of Duty's had its issues, but it's endured. And I'll be frank, man, I don't know that Microsoft has what it takes. I don't know why anybody would think they do. I don't know that, frankly, and I'm not just going to pin this on Microsoft. I don't know that any platform holder has what it takes to properly manage and run Activision Blizzard. That's an unbelievable undertaking. That is literally an unbelievable undertaking. That is not Bethesda. So I don't know, man. Maybe Microsoft is, maybe Phil is looking to hire somebody. Dude, watch them get Jim Ryan. We've hired Jim Ryan to run Activision Blizzard. Holy shit, could you imagine? I just realized that's a possibility. No, it's probably not. I don't know. Could that happen? I don't think that can happen. Holy shit, that would be... I wish that would happen. I wish that would happen, because that would be the most mind-blowing... That would be the most mind-blowing, like, holy shit, reverse Uno card. I would love, you know why I would love to see that? I would absolutely love to see the reaction of the Xbox fan base when they hear that Jim Ryan is going to be running Activision Blizzard. Better odds of Kotick running PlayStation? Oof. Oh, God. Please, no. I mean, there's no doubt he'd probably make PlayStation very successful. Yeah. But that's a shitstorm, dude. That's a shitstorm. Jake Skew, I'm sorry, man. I apologize. I just noticed Jake Skew actually gifted a second membership today, bringing us up to 20 members. 20 members on the day. Jake Skew, I appreciate that, but thank you for continuing to show your support. I'm sorry I was so late to that. It'll be a hell of a ride, man, over the next couple years. It really will, because there's so many different things that could go right and so many different things that could go wrong. But one thing that I think is clear is Microsoft got over a major hurdle of acquiring Activision Blizzard, and now they have to. Now comes the hard part. I mean, I'm not saying getting over this hurdle wasn't hard. It was, but it's just a very different type of difficult than what's coming up now. And we'll see, man, between Sony and what they're doing and whether or not they're going to acquire publishers themselves or stay the course, whether or not Microsoft is going to continue to buy publishers or if they're going to be able to manage what they have now. These are all big question marks that we don't have answers to. And I think it's going to make the second half of this generation. Yeah, it's gonna make for a very interesting second half of this generation. I wonder, what if Phil retired, man? What if you think about it, this would maybe be the best time for him to retire. In all seriousness, I mean, he just, he'll be the one to get the credit for this move, and he's in a good place right now. I think a lot of people are happy about what Phil did, and this could be his time to be like, Xbox is in the best place. Let's be honest, Xbox is in the best place it's been in since the reveal of the Xbox One. He did his job, man. He turned it around. This would be a good time, because it's like, take your W, man. Don't risk any more. Don't risk any L's. But no, I get this feeling that Phil's going to want to stay, and he's going to want to see if he can run this shit. keep hoping. No, dude, it's not a matter of hoping. Like Phil looks like he's aged like substantially since he became the head of gaming for Microsoft. I'm sure it's not as glorious. These jobs never are as glorious as they seem. The money's good, of course, but I could see Phil staying until I could see Phil staying until the next generation. And if Phil were to retire, I think he would retire maybe shortly after the launch of the next gen to see it through. That would make the most sense to me. But yeah, it'll be a hell of a ride, no doubt about it. You're saying he's been in this position for 10 years. He's probably looking forward to retiring. It's not even just that, but his entire career has been at Microsoft, dude. His entire career has been at Microsoft. I think he's been with Microsoft for over 30 years. He probably, yeah, I imagine, dude, it probably gets tiring. No matter how passionate you are, it's like, dude, it's the world of cutthroat business. It's probably very stressful. Again, the pay is really good, but I don't know that I envy a job like that. It sounds so fucking stressful. But who knows? Maybe he handles it well. You know what I like about Phil Spencer? I like the fact that Phil Spencer's a Tool fan. I remember when Tool released their last album in 2019, he was like celebrating it. I was like, God damn, Phil just got a lot cooler in my eyes. He's like genuinely a real Tool fan. So, I mean, look, man, no matter what decisions he makes in the gaming world, I'll always have the respect for him for that. Which I thought that was a pretty cool thing. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? I think I successfully got through all the topics, guys. Actually, I think most of what we just discussed there was actually wasn't even really a specific topic, but I think this is where the stream is going to come to an end now, guys. Unless, maybe I can hang out with the chat for a couple more minutes. I don't know. It's up to you. I feel like I've said, I think it's a good time to wrap it up. I feel like I've said everything I could possibly say here. And like I said, I'm going to be doing another stream tomorrow for the Spider-Man 2 reviews that are going to release. Yeah, next week is Spider-Man week. It's going to be exciting. Damn, you guys are going nuts in the chat. Listen, guys, I want to say one last time here. One last time. Please hit that like button on your way out. Just take a second of your time as you're leaving. Hit that like button. Let's see if we can leave the stream in a more positive place. Because, it really helps. It does. So hit that like button on your way out. I'll do my outro here. I want to give a shout out to everybody who donated a super chat and everybody who gifted memberships. We landed at 20 members on the day, which is great to see. So thank you guys for that continued support. I really do appreciate it. And again, thank you to everybody who re-upped their memberships. It's you guys are the sponsors of the channel. Really, you guys make this a possibility for me. You make it so that I can continue to do this, and I very much enjoy it, and I very much appreciate that. So, big shout out to you guys. Also, a big shout out to Devil Shooter for continuing to do the timestamps. He does a great job. If you see him in the comments, give him a thank you. Show him some love. And I think that's it. Yeah, so that'll do it for this stream. I haven't settled on an exact time I'm going to do my stream tomorrow. I think the Spider-Man 2 reviews come out at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that would mean I'm either going to do my stream at 11 a.m. or the normal 12 p.m. So just be on the lookout. It'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Omen86 says, after Spidey 2 drops, I'll fall off the grid again. It's all good, man. Enjoy your time with the game. Enjoy your time with the game. I know I will be. So it's good times ahead, bro. And Omen, yeah, thank you for all the support today, buddy. Very much appreciated. And that's it. Yeah, so All right, guys, that does it. I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, take care, everyone.